So after today, I think everyone's got a bit of whiskey in front of them. Chase, your whiskey is a little bit different than the rest of ours, I think, since yours I think is is a little bit of celebratory whiskey. But dude, is anyone else getting fucking flashbacks to last year?
Yeah, I had flashbacks really quickly to this Saturday. After that third race came in, I was like, oh, I got one of my singles through on my pick five early, got a nice price in, everything's going good. And then the freaking horse that I should have had that's a JJ horse at 60 something to one wins. And I'm like, oh God, we're going to have another one of those days. And yeah, flashbacks to last year, all sorts of bad. Eh. And so I actually sat there and I had to consciously be like, okay, don't overthink this. Don't think too much about the bias. Don't make tons of crazy changes to tomorrow's tickets because you know what happened when you did that last year.
Yeah, I mean, at least this time I didn't fucking have to watch like the horse that I had everything going through hit his nose on the ground. So I mean, that at least feels a little bit better, I guess. Like I got a little bit of a run.
Everyone went into it with a sporting chance. No one just completely had some lemony snickets unfortunate shit happen to him or anything.
You want to know like the kind of the funniest part about this, and shout out to Evil Bob Dole in the chat. He's like messaged me a couple times over the past couple weeks to just be like, look, going with the plan. Don't make sure you know how much money you're gonna bet and like have everything organized. And so right at the end, I was just like, I made a play, an exacta play and a try play with the seven on top. Um, Jackie's Warrior, and then like I make I'm at my limit. I'm like, this is how much I'm playing today, and then I'm like, I'm gonna come. I should come back and box the five. Like I got to play stuff with the five on top. And then I'm like, no, I'm just chasing at this point, so I just don't put that in, and it's just like, yeah, I fucking put that horse into the winner's circle. So, oh,
How
oh,
many deposits today, Josh?
three. But
Ooh.
I actually made tomorrow's deposit already. So
I mean, tomorrow's first deposit, you mean?
yeah, tomorrow's first deposit rather. So we'll count that one for tomorrow.
You're living up to your tilted meme.
Yeah, it's definitely. I was like $3 or $4 short for making a bet, and so I was gonna put just the min deposit in, but I'm like, no, I'm just gonna put in tomorrow's deposit, and I'll be short a couple bucks for tomorrow. That's fine. Um, but yeah, we had it on our prop bets. We're running on the over on a lot of stuff. So uh, I think we already got the $50 winner. So and then yeah, we got a couple of fresh faces in chat today. And we're starting out. We got Sentinent. Shout out Sentinent. I think he's local to Louisville or not Louisville. Sorry, Lexington. And he is. I think he's like heartbroken. He can't be there because, of course, the weather's fucking perfect.
Ooh.
Uh, and then I saw Papo in chat. Shout out to the shake up over there. And then we got Dennis, who Dennis had a good day today. He said he hammered Aunt Pearl and smacked a home run, biggest bet in a race he's ever made. So good job there, Dennis. Um, Chase, do you want to go through your you want to do your victory lap? I know you were really excited today.
Yeah, for one, a long shot horse that I took a pretty big stand on and said that it was one that you had to win bet because it was a must play long shot. We got that one home, Fire at Will, and it was at the turf mile or the juvenile turf, where. But yeah, it. I was really excited when that one started running because that pace scenario really played out exactly as Caleb and I both kind of thought would happen with Altador and um, uh, Gretzky the Great and Fire at Will all going out for it and none of them really going fast and Ricardo Santana Jr. the newly
Trust God.
resurrected Turf Jesus just sat chilly and made a great move up the rail and got away with it and at 30 to 1 and I was lucky enough to I had a couple of doubles Dutched, so I had a $5 double coming off of Fire at Will into Vequist and Girl Daddy in the next race, and once again right up the rail, Vequist came and that was a $900 payout, and I took a nice little $2 stab at the trifecta, throwing out Princess Noor, and that bitch was nowhere to be seen. Ha ha! Fuck you, Bob. And so yeah, I had a great day. Was able to cash a few things with Aunt Pearl. I was alive to 4 horses going into the final final leg of the pick 4, and it just didn't get out. But I had a good enough day in the 4 races leading up to that last leg that it didn't doesn't really matter. I put a pretty big increase on my bankroll for tomorrow, so I was jacked up about today. I'm really excited.
So, stupid question for everybody: has anybody seen any single West Coast horse run well at all? Because we brought up Princess Noor. There's a few others on there that also didn't run.
No, I mean I was getting blasted for picking any West Coast horses yesterday. So, and I didn't hit a single bet today. So I don't think any of the West Coast horses ran at all.
It's a little ironic that I probably play more West Coast racing than anyone here, and I'm the biggest hater of West Coast horses. But I really don't think that. Maybe they won something on the undercard, but I don't really remember any of them running well at all. Definitely not in any of the turf races. The turf races were pretty much upsets, and then Euros rounding out the bottom half for the most part, except for Golden Pal.
Yeah, I figured we would have talked Princess Noor right into the winner's circle after last night, but she basically ran exactly how we thought she'd run.
I mean, I could have used her getting tucked into the winner's circle, FYI. Although, actually, really, the heartbreak of the day for me was that stupid that marathon race. That was it. That was a weekend maker for me. I had so much going through that stupid 9 horse. The Argentinian horse, and it was even funny. Mark and I were talking before this, and he's like, "Dude, you even had me pull up the stats," and I said Rocketry, and sure enough, Rocketry just, it's 2018 all over again. Decided to, win that marathon.
Name checked out on Rocketry.
Yeah.
They were flying late. He got the perfect trip, the perfect setup. And it's one of those races, on paper, it didn't look like it had that much pace. And then all of a sudden, everybody decides they needed to go. It's completely, anti-Naira race.
Yeah, I think it was one of those first 2 races. Everybody on Twitter is screaming speed bias on the dirt. And I think the jocks probably got that in their head. And then all of a sudden, 5 jocks sent for the lead, and that's typically what happens.
It was a 1 5/8 miles, and they went 24 flat in the opening quarter.
Yeah, it was not slow. it was faster than most turf races going 7 furlongs at Saratoga.
So I know we can go for
ouch, they poked me twice there. Huh?
I know we can go for hours probably on biases and perceived biases, but this was my thought when it came into the main track, was that it played very fair pace wise, but there was definitely a positional kind of bias where that rail trip was great. You saw some horses do some freaky things up rails today on the dirt. I think it's there a little bit on the turf as well, but the turf has a little bit of the speed worked in with it. But yeah, I don't think there's a dirt speed bias by any means, but I definitely think that ground saving rail trip is big time right now.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good take, to be honest. I struggled because Keeneland, for the entire fall meet, played outside, and the rail was pretty poor. And, outside speed or just off the pace, mostly stalkers and closers in the sprints, and then mostly speed horses in the routes were typically what was getting it done, but always outside pretty much. So for today, for, the rail to look as fair, if not good as it did, that was pretty surprising. It also seemed like that rally wide move was also really, you could win if you were much the best, but it didn't seem to be any advantage for sure. I was also a little surprised at how well speed seemed to hold up on the turf. I'm not saying it was a bias per se. It may have been just the best horses or the right pace, but speed really held up strong on the turf today.
Well, and you actually had me wondering quite a bit after we talked about Aunt Pearl and her last race at Keeneland and with the run up and the different question about was it the stakes record they said, was that was that opening quarter at like, I think it was like 22-3? Was that really that fast? Because I mean, if so, that horse was flying the entire way.
In today or in her previous race?
No, today.
Oh yeah,
She
today.
was, I mean,
I think today was probably legit. I think she just. I mean, you saw the cushion she opened up on that field. I mean, I think that was a very honest race, and I mean, that's a very nice horse. I mean, I got no knocks on that effort today.
But what I'm saying is, what you said yesterday had me wondering if that race was if she was really going as fast, or if she was actually sitting back just a little bit, as opposed,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know what the run-ups were today. I mean, that was a mile and a 16th at the Jessamine, so I don't know if it's much different at a mile. But it's a good question.
Yeah, actually, I hit up Papo in chat if he's still around to see what he thought of the track, but it seemed fair to me. I think John Massey's bringing up that he thinks that the front end was just better at one turn, but at two turns, you could be inside, and slightly off. So, and it looks like Papa thought the inside on the dirt, outside on turf.
Papo knows what's up. I'm a disciple of Papo. I know what's going on.
Yeah, I would very much agree with the outside on the turf. There was one of those turf races where you could like box the outside four horses and I think hit like a 6K super or something. The outside seemed to be pretty good on the turf, especially on the two-turn turf races.
I wish someone would have told Campanelle that.
Campanelle just isn't that good.
I mean, we saw two Wesley Ward horses today in Outador and Campanelle, who are very nice horses, but probably just don't want to go this far. And I think they are both kind of exposed for probably being better off as sprinters than routers today.
I just kind of think that maybe Golden Pal is the big bully on the cell block and is probably taking their oats in the mess hall.
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you want to go run against that horse? Go and
give me your oats.
All right. Anything else? Anything else you guys want to touch on from today?
I'll give an update that I missed my 3 Breeders' Cup betting challenge bets today. I played 3 doubles. I went 1 for 2 in all of them. I keyed Golden Pal with a couple horses I liked in the juvenile turf. Did not get to Chase's horse, actually. Should have listened to Chase. I kind of give him a hard time about that horse with the slow pace, last out, and everything. And I did agree with him the pace set up the way it would. I just didn't think the 7 would be good enough, and he ended up being good enough. So, that one kind of cost me a little bit. The one that really killed me was my strongest opinion of the day was Princess Noor doesn't win. So I had doubles keyed all around day out of the office. And I was a little concerned about the distance, thinking, Vequist was the other horse I thought that ran a good fig that probably gets the distance a little better. But instead of kind of splitting my doubles, I just kind of went all in on day out of the office. And, when she got beat by Vequist up the fence, that one stung quite a bit. And then Jackie's Warrior kind of just not showing up with the effort he needs today around 2 turns was the last nail in my coffin. So I hit every other race, but couldn't put 2 together, unfortunately. So still have a good bankroll of like 5,700 or so for tomorrow. I didn't use any of my optional money. So I got better opinions for tomorrow, and I think I may have done something to reverse my luck. Thanks, Chase. I'm hanging in there, man. But yeah, the guy in first already has like 130,000. So probably might be hard to catch him, but we'll just take it one race at a time.
All right, why don't go ahead, Chase.
So through the first 4 Breeders' Cup races, I think what we saw was what I've been really used to just playing NYRA tracks for the last few months, is that I felt like you had some just really kind of passive NYRA jock kind of rides. And the race where things got crazy in the end, with Jackie's Warrior getting beaten, that was a horse that's been running on the NYRA circuit that people have been just completely cool to let that horse sit back and, run, watch that horse get smaller as it just runs faster than everyone. And now since the Breeders' Cup, you're seeing jocks from all these different colonies that aren't going to put up with that shit. They're actually going to go and try to put some heat on them. And so that got me thinking, and it's going to probably shape a lot of how I play tomorrow in regards to dirt and turf.
All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at Saturday here. We got a lot of races to get through. I think there's a couple of races that are fairly straightforward, so I think we'll be able to get through these in pretty quick order. But as usual, if you
25
guys,
minutes.
yeah, 25 minutes a race. If you guys got questions in the chat, go ahead and toss them up, and I'll try and get to them, or we'll try and get to them as we go. But yeah, we're gonna start here with the Filly Mare Sprints, Grade 1 here, 7 furlongs on the main track. So we are still going that one turn. And morning line favorite here is going to be Gamine, the 2-horse. And I know before we were kind of talking like, ooh, like maybe didn't get the best draw, being posted inside, but I don't know. I think Gamine might, if the track plays like it did today, I think Gamine might have a little bit more to say from the inside. I really think it's just a 2-horse race between Gamine and Serengeti Empress. I don't really think I got to go much deeper than that. But Chase says the big winner today. What do you think?
So this is going to play exactly into what I said just a moment ago. People are not going to be content to let Gamine just run roughshod. I think the post draw does look good for Gamine, but you also have a horse like Come Dancing that's drawn to the inside of Gamine. And they're like we kind of just discussed, and Papo, I'm going to say Papo confirmed. Like I'll give it the fucking Twitter check mark whenever Papo says the inside is on at Keeneland. With, Come Dancing is already going to get that rail position. Gamine might be pushed a little bit out. You have horses
Just so
from
you know, she's
outside.
actually outside of Gamine, not inside of Gamine.
Who? What did I just say? Come Dancing?
Come Dancing.
I meant to say art collector. I'm sorry, not art collector.
Speech?
Yes, speech.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So speech is going to affect that plan. I think that while a horse like Gamine is probably maybe a logical winner there, I'm actually going to use horses like Come Dancing and In the Midst of Biz that are going to be able to tuck in behind that early pace that's set by by Speech, by Gamine, by these outside horses. You're going to be able to sit a trip and sit patiently for that rail to vacate and make the move up the rail to close. That's what I'm really kind of banking on to try to hit a price. At this point, I feel like it might be foolish to leave Gamine off of the ticket, as much as I fucking hate to say that. But I don't think that horse is, unbeatable, and I definitely see a way that you can, get paid fucking big balloons in this first BC race.
Yeah, I think for me, this race was pretty damn simple. I think this is really a 1-horse race, and I think this is Serengeti Empress all day long. She's the fastest horse in here early by a mile. She's got 21-3 speed. She's going to go to the front, and I don't think anybody else can go with her. And every horse that's ever tried to go with her has never been successful. Now, she has stopped a couple of times, and not been able to hold on. Bell's the one got by her last out, but since they cut her back to 7 furlongs, she's just been a completely different horse. This is what she wants to do. I just really think that Serengeti Empress is just an ice cold single in here. And anybody else you're playing that Gamine tries to go with Serengeti Empress and somehow this falls apart. But I think she's just better than these by quite a bit.
This race isn't in the pick six, right?
My
No,
counterpoint.
Thank God.
No.
Thank God. Okay, continue.
My counterpoint to Mark is the Apple Blossom Stakes at Oaklawn, where we saw what happened when someone did beat Serengeti Empress to the spot.
Yeah, but you're talking that,
and it was always candy.
Yeah, no, agreed. But also, the Apple Blossom was a furlong and a half further, and I don't know. I think it's 7 furlongs. They just send Serengeti Empress. She can go as fast as she can go, and she's just faster than everybody else. I think when you're talking a mile and a 16th with her, there's a little bit of we can't go 21-3.
They got to get to they have to get to that turn quicker and everything. No, I agree. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. That what happens if Serengeti Empress gets beaten to the spot.
I think she can press anybody else who beats her. I mean, if you're playing the line in here that the Gamine goes and the Serengeti Empress, if somehow Serengeti Empress stumbles a little or doesn't break perfect and Gamine's a little bit quicker early, I think Serengeti Empress just goes up and presses her and grinds her into the ground. I just don't see it any other way, and I just have never been that really impressive with Gamine.
And to be fair, Tom Amos did throw Joe Talamo under the bus big time for the ride in the Apple Blossom. So
beautiful.
Yes, he did, and yeah, there's a reason that Talamo is not on that horse anymore. And also Sayers is up, and they're going, and I just don't think there's anybody that can ride with her.
Yeah, this is a tough race for me, to be honest, because I don't like Gamine. I don't think Gamine has a path to victory in this race. I don't think she has a chance to make the lead over Serengeti Empress. I mean, she'd have to run 7 or 8 lengths faster. I mean, more than that probably. She'd have to run, Serengeti pops off 43 and change to the half, and Gamine's never shaded 45. So, I just can't see a way in the world Gamine gets to the front. Serengeti finally gets a nice outside draw, which is going to be pretty nice because that's going to kind of force Gamine's hand one way or the other. So I want to love Serengeti here. But my kind of hesitation is just historically, front runners have not done well in this race. In the 13 runnings of the Filly and Mare Sprint in the Breeders' Cup, it's never been wired, and front runners have only hit the board in 2 of those races, actually. So it is not kind to early speed at all. Now, I don't know that I necessarily see anybody able to go with Serengeti here. I do think you're going to get a more aggressive ride than out of Venetian Harbor than we saw 2 back. I know the owner was pretty pissed with that ride in the test, and they switched to Manny Franco, and he put that horse on the front. I don't know that this horse can get in front of Serengeti, even if she wants to, but I think she'll at least do her best to contest the pace. I think that Gamine will also kind of try to get involved early. The 4 horse in the midst of Biz is actually going to scratch, but she would have been a pace threat. So it's tough for me because if you don't like Gamine, which I don't, and you kind of play the historical angles of the race probably won't get 1 gate to wire, it doesn't really leave me with anybody that I feel great about. I kind of looked at the 2 closers, Bell's the One and Sally's Curlin. Bell's the One had everything go her way last time and still just caught up by a nose. Serengeti ran the much better race that day. Sally's Curlin had a similar setup, and she actually was lucky to get 3rd. So it's tough for me to get too excited about either of them here. I do kind of think that, Bell's the One typically throws a clunker after firing a big race. I do think last time was the time you wanted to have Bell's the One. So I'd probably lean towards Sally's Curlin, even though she hasn't particularly run fast enough to win in the past. She is a Curlin baby. They typically get better later than some others. I just kind of think that she's kind of cycling up towards a big race, whereas you maybe Bell's the One maybe over the top a little bit. I have kind of a similar opinion of Come Dancing. I think she kind of was over the top in that last race, and I don't expect her to repeat that effort here. So that kind of left me with a lukewarm pick of Sally's Curlin. I kind of wanted to like Speech, especially now that she gets the rail here. But I kind of wonder if she's just here because CC went to the distaff and McCarthy doesn't want to send them against each other. I don't know that, she ran her career best race going a mile and a 16th over Keeneland. Why not run a mile and 1/8 at Keeneland if, this horse is legit, unless they really just think CC is much better and, this was the only other spot they had for her. So I wasn't really sure what to do with her. Sconson, that 8 Bells race came back horrible, 4 races, never forget. Monday Call, they all regressed 20 plus speed points in our next start. I'm not that interested in Sconson. So for me, it's probably going to be trying to play around Sally's Curlin or skipping the race entirely.
Not going back to the Come Dancing wall. I know you've pounded that drum multiple times before.
Well, Come Dancing is the only one that could beat me here, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I probably got too cute here. But she should have probably won both the Ballerina and the Vagrancy, but had completely brain dead rides from Castellano. And both times he runs into the horse's ass in front of him. He goes to a dead rail back at Belmont's. He's just horrible. Finally, Irad gets up and the horse gets a win over a field that she very much should have beaten. She does get a good pace set up here, but I'm almost wondering, she's not a horse that really has a explosive turn of foot. I mean, she's more of kind of a grinder here. And I think that if she's too far back, she probably won't be able to outkick the 2 big closers or 3 big closers. And if she's too forward, I think she might be just running faster than she's normally used to going. I mean, I know those fractions in her last two look pretty honest, but
she's got to be like 2.5, like two and can't be more than 2.5, can't be closer than 2.5. Like that's got to be
perfect ride. You know, she needs a perfectly timed ride here, and she's also a horse that's kind of historically thrown clunkers after her big races, and wouldn't surprise me if she is coming in more rested than normal, but she wouldn't surprise me. I think you include her underneath maybe. If you like her, I wouldn't talk you off of her. But
all I'm gonna say is if I see all those horses on the lead, fucking flying, going into the turn and drift off the rail just a little bit with Irad just sitting patiently on it, I'm gonna have a fucking stroke, riding my invisible horse and whipping myself and yelling, "Open him up! Open him up!"
What do you think here, Josh?
I'm pretty much with Mark. I think that you can probably single A Serengeti here. I'm not going to get beat by Gamine, so I'll probably use Gamine as a B type. I was in between moving Gamine up to be an A just because of the way the track's been playing. But Mark's making a good point that Gamine looks like a front runner and everything, but Gamine's never run faster than 45. So. And that's what was that? The test, the test kept up at 45, and even hasn't really run much in the West Coast. I was trying to see if maybe on one of those juiced up tracks or like Oak Lawn, but still, there's been 45, 45, 46. I mean, hasn't.
To be fair, in the test, that might have actually been just a child mannequin on Gamine and not an actual jockey. Like I don't think they were really telling her what to do or trying to hustle her or anything.
Yeah, but also, I mean, look at the one Baffert today, how it ran, and look at West Coast shippers. To me, that makes I would just move down everything off the West Coast, and I'm moving everything out of the Baffert barn, down quite a bit.
Yeah, fucking awesome, love it.
Yeah, we talked about
that's how I operate on almost all day. I'm more reliant on Gamine as a pace factor to get the prices that I like home.
Of the off the pace horses, I think I kind of agree with you though, Caleb. I think Sally's Curlin's the one I want the most of. I'm a little interested in Sconson, but that's like if you don't look at the last race and just kind of look at look who came out of the last race and just kind of look at pace figures. The horse kind of fits in if you're looking at a meltdown here, but. Yeah, I mean, I think those are probably more like C types, if anything. I'm probably gonna be pretty good just using the Gamine and Serengeti, and probably just singling Serengeti as a lone A in this race. And I know that's boring, but I mean, Serengeti should win this race, but we've obviously lost that last race, but that was nuclear, but.
Things have to normalize eventually. How many big prices did we see, today? Like at some point, things are going to have to. Those prices are probably going to start creeping down. And we're due to get a little bit of chalk. So I mean, I can't fault you for saying being a little bit, boring.
All right, let's see. It looks like we've pretty much been answering stuff in the chat, so it hasn't been anything crazy. John Massey says he'd look at Sally's Curl if it was at Churchill. JD says he'd love to toss all the Bafferts, but he's waiting for that to burn me at some point. I think today was a day to fade Baffert, but I think Gamine is probably his best shot the whole weekend, besides Improbable and Mexicurity. Yeah. All right, let's move on here. Let's move on to race 5, Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. The only race I think I got right all of last year with Belvoir Bay. We got a full field here of 14. I did not look at early scratches. We got anybody scratched out of here?
I don't think so.
Nothing as of yet.
So I think the morning line favorite in this is that. I'm looking at this right. It's Got Stormy, isn't it? That's 7-2.
Right.
I'm not really a big Got Stormy fan in this race, but Mark, what do you think here?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. These races at Keeneland, these 5.5 furlong turf sprints have historically been won right on the lead. You have not seen horses coming from out of it. You've seen horses that were on or just off the pace. I will say though, of the runnings of the British Cup Turf Sprint, this is one of the softer fields I've ever seen. There's no monsters in here. You're used to seeing those 110 Beyer speed fig kind of horses, and there's a couple triple digit horses, but you're not seeing the quality in here. I want to love Alexandra. I just think she's really up against it in here. I know Josh is a fan of hers, and I like her. I think she's done just everything right. She's a hell of a cool horse. Loves getting to the winner's circle. I think with how the turf plays at Keeneland, she's going to have just a little bit too much to do. So I want horses that are a little more forwardly placed. And, I landed on 3 of them that I'm going to have as A's, and then I'm going to have a lot of coverage behind it. I think the 3 are going to be the kind of major players in here. The 3 Infamous, coming off 2 straight. He's been a hell of a horse. Puts up real good figs. He's got a win in a 3rd place across the surface, and this is his distance. He's 7-12 at the distance. So, he likes this sort of trip. And I think the 5.5 at Keeneland plays a lot like the 5.5 at Saratoga, where he won the Troy 2 starts back. So, I think he's a major player, and he makes a ton of sense, for me. The other one is, and I know Josh sort of beat up on Got Stormy. I do like her in here, and I think she's hard not to like. Again, horses won 2 straight, perfect at the distance, a 1st and a 3rd at Keeneland. She's beaten a lot of the others in here. She's a horse that she's probably won't be quite as forwardly placed as Imprimis, but she'll be, just off the leads here, maybe sitting, 2-3 lengths back. I think that gives her a perfect setup. Gaff can tip her outside, pick a nice lane, and, make that big one powerful move. And she is a horse that likes getting her photo taken. And I think she's your defending, she's your defending sprint champion? Or was she? She was in the mile. She was second. Sorry, she was second in the mile last year.
That was Belvoir who won last year. In case I haven't said that enough.
Belvoir 20 times. Yeah, and in the 3rd horse that I wanted in here, and I don't love taking a Euro in the turf, at a turf sprint, but I do like Glass Slipper quite a bit in here. She's done a lot of really good work at 5 furlongs in Europe. Has a ton of speed. All of those have been straight races, so we have to see if she can go around a corner. But she is sort of the hype horse. If you look at the Euro pool, she's taken a lot of money. She's a lot shorter. She's more like 6-1 kind of range, and obviously Euros are going to like Euro horses, but she's taking quite a bit of money. She seems to be sort of the interesting Euro player in here. And another horse that is 7 out of 8 times in the exacta at this distance, so it sort of seems to be what she wants to do. And she's getting Lasix for the first time in the United States, which is something that not all the Euros are, and I do like to see that, because it tends to, I don't know if she necessarily needs it, but I don't think it necessarily hurts. So those are the 3 that I had on top, and you guys can throw out, because there's a lot here you can talk about.
If you watch any of Glass Slipper's replays, because that's the Euro that I landed on as well. If you watch any of her replays, she has a much more forwardly placed, kind of running style, kind of stalking style that really kind of fits in line with the other horse that you like, which I liked also, which was Imprimis. The only other one that I'm going to throw out that you might want to consider is going to be Front Run the Fed, the Chad Brown horse. I kind of look at like Imprimis and Front Run the Fed as maybe like a, Imprimis and then a slightly not as good version of Imprimis, running with it. But I feel like that horse kind of fits the profile, and that was one that I was definitely interested in as well. But other than that, you really covered who I was looking at.
Yeah, I think that, we've already talked about the 2 horses that I think are the most likely winners, which is Imprimis and Leinster. I'll probably have most of my tickets using them as my A's. I'm against God Stormy here. I have a hard time accepting the fact she's really a 5.5 furlong horse after being a miler for the first 3 years of her career. She won last 2 times in a sprint, but I'm not really sure what was behind her in that race. I don't think that Intimistic is much of a player here. And she barely got up to beat him, and despite Intimistic probably having a slightly worse trip in that race. So I'm not really excited to use her, especially as the favorite. I agree on Glass Slippers. That's a Euro who's really interesting in here. He lost to Wooded last out. Wooded's not a particularly good horse, but Glass Slippers did kind of get compromised with the high draw. There was a bit of a course bias that day, and Wooded just kind of rode the bias perfect to a win. But Glass Slippers put in a pretty good effort in defeat, and she actually did win around the turn previously in her career at Chester, which has actually the tightest turns in all of Great Britain as far as racetracks go. So I'm not too worried about the turn, even though she hasn't done it recently. But it's more just, do you want to take a horse that's likely going to be coming from pretty far off the pace in a 14-horse field? So to me, it's Imprimis and Leinster is kind of my A's. The kind of B's that I were looking at in this race was, in addition to Glass Slippers, who we've already talked about, was a horse that I went back and forth on, but ended up including as a B, was the One Big Runner. For being a turf sprint, there's actually not a ton of speed on paper in here. And I do think that Big Runner is probably the fastest horse out of the gate. This horse has really good gate speed. I hate the draw, and I hate the fact that the 2-horse is probably your other leader, and it's immediately to his outside. But if this one gets out of the gate clean, I do think he has a legit shot to take the field gate to wire. I mean, he's never gone backwards in any of his races. He's moved forward every time. Clearly had some soundness issues, as he hasn't really raced much until he's 4 years old. But the works in the morning are just lights out, 58 flat consistently. And I don't put a ton of stock into those kind of works, but clearly this horse has the ability to get going quick. And I think that's going to be so important from that rail draw. So he's a horse that I was interested in. And then the other kind of B I was looking at was the 5-horse, Wet Your Whistle. This is a horse that I'm kind of torn on. I might drop him down to a C, perhaps. It depends on the price. But this horse just ran a monster race last time out. And it didn't completely come out of nowhere. He did run 2 really big races in 2019 before starting to kind of tail off form later on in the year at Saratoga and Kentucky Downs. But the Monmouth, Laurel, Woodbine races were all really good. And I'm wondering if perhaps after the layoff, he just kind of got back to form here. He's 5 years old. He's coming off a big race. I mean, does he go backwards off of that is kind of a fair question. He also showed a lot more speed than he's ever shown before. I mean, I don't know that you're going to get that trip again. But he's one that at the right price, I think would be interesting.
Yeah, I really liked Wet Your Whistle when I was misreading the form, and I thought that Jose Ortiz jumped off Imprimis to go to Wet Your Whistle, but apparently I can't tell the difference between an I and a J. But yeah,
It's got a hook.
It's got the little hook.
It's got a hook.
My Mark already alluded to my top pick in this race, and that's going to be the 8 Alexandra. I think Alexandra is probably the only horse I've seen consistently close from the clouds at 5.5 furlongs since who's Capone's favorite horse? Disco Partner. Yeah,
Yoshida.
So yeah, so I think I'm going to go
like trigger warning or something. It's like, I mean, we're at the 1 year anniversary. It's like too soon, isn't it?
It is the 1 year anniversary
of what?
Of Yoshida.
Oh, Yoshida. Oh, goodness. But yeah, Alexandra in here, I think, I mean, hasn't done anything wrong. I think the horse has been coming off a layoff, but has fired decently coming off layoff. So, yeah, I'm going to have most of my stuff going through Alexandra in this race. The other A-ish horse that I have in this race, I think Caleb, I think it's probably your top pick in this race, the 3 Imprimis. I think that this is like Imprimis is just another horse that he's gonna get first run on this. I think compared to Alexandra is going to be coming from a little bit further back, and Imprimis's form at this distance is pretty good. He's won 7 of 12. So, and I know he had that streak of real bad form at the end of last year. So if you kind of toss those races, he's come back looking really good this year. So he's another one who I just think is very in form at this point. That's probably all I really need in this race as far as A's and possibly B's are concerned. Depending on how the rest of the card kind of looks and how big of a ticket I want to play. I mean, there's other horses I think you got to use. Like, I mean, I guess you could make Got Stormy a B, especially with the fact that she's going to be posted outside, and we saw that big outside bias. I just think that for what she's going to try to do, I prefer Alexandra, even though Alexandra's posted a little bit inside or a little inside of her. The other horse in here, Leinster, I think is interesting, but I don't know. I just think I prefer the other horses to Leinster. Although Leinster did win the kind of like the, I guess the last big 5.5 furlong race at Keeneland. So probably would use, if I'm going to use play a bigger ticket, but I'm mostly going to be going through Alexandra and Imprimis in this race.
And so one of
I
the
was going to say I will not talk you off of Alexandra because I think there are multiple horses with multiple chances. I think that if Alexandra is sitting 7 lengths off at the second call, like she has been in her last 6 races in a row, that she's not going to get there with the way that the turf is playing.
Yeah, and with what Chase is alluding to, this is one of those things. I know I've been shitting all over West Coast, horses, specifically West Coast turf horses, and so I'm going to plug one right now. One horse that I do find a little interesting is the 10 Bombard. This is a horse that, in a race that is fairly devoid of pace, he's going to be really forwardly placed. He might be first or second. If you look at, he's got some figs on time form and on BSF that are competitive in this field. And that turf sprint at Kentucky Downs, and we've seen Kentucky Downs shippers to Keeneland be really good all the fall meet. And he almost got beat a neck by Imprimis and dead heated to front run the Fed. 2 of horses that are going to be much, much shorter in here than he's going to be. You can say he got a perfect trip, but that turf at Kentucky Downs was not super speed favoring. So I find him super interesting in here. Maybe this is a little too sharp. Maybe the uphill at Kentucky Downs helped him, but he's at 15-1. I think kind of a super interesting horse.
The turf races today sure looked like some Santa Anita ass turf races with how much speed they were showing up front early. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if a West Coast, if no one decides to chase early speed, seeing a kind of a West Coast horse turf horse being able to get out there and run that same kind of, especially with fucking Flavian Pratt aboard.
Yeah, and honestly, I will give the West Coast turf horses crap, but he does have that Kentucky Downs race, which makes him look really good versus these. So all of a sudden, I kind of have to give him a little bit of okay, you're not just a West Coast special. You've actually faced other company at a track that's notoriously a tough one to run at.
I got really excited because you were talking about West Coast turf horses, and I literally spent like 25 or 30 minutes trying to make a case for Texas Wedge. And so I was hoping you were going to say Texas Wedge and give me a reason to bet this horse again. But yeah, you disappointed me greatly.
Somehow Peter Miller will find a way to win this race. Like Texas Wedge has really no shot on paper, but it's Peter Miller, man. Like
that horse is always in the fucking mix, man. It's like just
his blinks go on. I mean, you know what the game plan is.
All right, I think you answered Evil Bob Dole's question about Leinster being a half to Stormy Liberal.
Leinster is a half to Stormy Liberal.
Okay. Anything else we want to touch on here? Do you really think we're going to get 12-1 on Alexandra?
Yes.
Because that's
she's one of those horses that has like an irrational fan club that's going to kind of like you that are going to bet this horse despite the fact that she probably can't really win here. But so I don't think you'll get a great price, but she'll probably get double digits.
But isn't this that horse's entire irrational fan club $2 win betters?
Well, there's a lot of them.
All right, let's move on to the next race here. The Dirt Mile, everybody's favorite race to shit all over. Obviously it's going to be a 2-turn mile here at Keeneland, and Vekoma for some reason didn't show up to this race and then scratched anyways. So, that kind of made this race a little less exciting. I mean, Caleb already knows which horse I like in this race because it's the same type of horse I bet all the fucking time. Yeah, Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna be on the 5 Knicks Go in this race. I mean, that last race was very, very impressive, and I think the cutback is only going to help the horse. Now, on top of that, we saw what Brad Cox horses were doing today. So I think leaving Knicks Go off your tickets is a big mistake. He's going to be my lone A in this race. Um, I really there's 3 other horses in here I have marked down as Bs. I have Complexity marked down as a B, but that's more of a defensive B than anything. I actually don't really care for the horse too much, but um, he does look really big on figs, at least on the Brisnet perspective. Um, so he's actually probably more of a B that I'm going to use, but I maybe don't really use. The other 3 horses I'm actually going to use are in sequential order: the 6, the 7, and the 8 in Mr. Money, Rushy, and Pirates Punch. Pirates Punch, man, I think that he's going to get a pretty decent trip. He's kind of rounding into form. I know it's Monmouth form, and it's not exactly like he's been beating the world, but he did beat a good horse in Warriors Charge 2 back, and he's coming back here to a mile. I think he looks pretty good on Briz pace figures, and correct me if I'm wrong, Caleb. He looks pretty good on the sheets too, doesn't he?
He does. He fits in here. He's one of my Bs for pretty much all the reasons you've discussed. I think he makes a lot of sense in here.
Yeah, now Mr. Money, I finally had given up on this horse after betting this horse for like 20 times, and then he decides to win the ACAC at a mile. So I'm back aboard. I'm back in. I mean, I think he might just be too slow. Same kind of with Rushy. But the one thing I can kind of give both these horses is they're 4 and 3 respectively. So seeing an improvement is not out of the question. Michael McCarthy is always good shipping horses. He doesn't seem to be the type who just ships horses to for no reason. Did win the Pat Day Mile, and it seemed like he looked really good winning that race. And I know he's been on the sidelines for 2 months now, but I think Rushy's going to be in here with a chance. I think Mr. Money is going to be in here with a little bit of chance, but I really think that Knicks Go's got a good chance to just get loose here and just pretty much not let anyone into this race.
So I agree with you on Knicks Go. I really like Knicks Go, but there are so many things that make me feel fucking icky about using Knicks Go and taking Knicks Go as a stand there. That's not. I don't want a horse that's been crushing 50K and 80K optional claimers coming into the BC after going really off form, switching trainers. I mean, what we're seeing is promising, but you're also just kind of maybe like a, big fish, small pond sort of thing, even though he does have some quite a bit of back class and has shown some respectable figs. So if I'm going to use Knicks Go, I am going to use other horses along with them that I feel like might be able to run the same kind of race, because I do feel like that's a winning style that can get home. You mentioned one, Pirates Punch. I think that's a great pick. And, if you want to shit on Monmouth form, that's fine, but we can shit on 80K and 50K optional claimers way more than that. Complexity is another one that I think kind of, who says if, maybe Knicks Go, maybe if her last performances weren't exaggerated by, kind of flattering fields, or his performances weren't, exaggerated by flattering fields, that Complexity couldn't, get out there and be that kind of horse. So I mean, I don't hate Knicks Go. I do not feel safe being, just Knicks Go by any means. Though the horse, everything that you've seen recently, if you don't look at the company that he's kept, that looks like a BC, dirt mile winner.
Yeah, I think the trainer changed. He's been a completely different horse, and it screams of other trainers that are, I think, hiding in Saudi Arabia still. But yeah, I mean, Knicks Go makes a ton of sense in here. But my thing with Knicks Go is he's got to go. That's his only option. He has to make the lead. He has to be first at every call. That's how the only way he's ever won a race. He's got a ton of speed, but there's other speed in here. And honestly, I know Josh doesn't like Complexity, but I think Complexity remains the most logical winner in here. Nick's Go is going to go. Complexity's going to be able to sit off on his hip, and Complexity shown that he can pass horses while firing into a fast pace. So, it's not going. I don't think it's going to be crazy fast pace in here, but I think once I go to Nick's Go and Complexity, I think it really tails off. I don't really want a ton of anybody else in here, and those are the two that I want the most of. I think Complexity is your most likely winner. Hate eating chalk, but I go with logical where it's logical.
Yeah, so I also am on the Nick's Go train. I also feel icky about it, like Jace. 100% don't like him, but 100% don't care. But this horse,
sorry, Nuss.
This is a horse that if he only ran one of those races in the Brad Cox barn, I'd probably be very against him. But seeing him just run off the page twice, I mean, once could be an anomaly, but twice, I mean, Cox probably figured something out with this horse. I'm not too concerned about the class issues because he was a classy 2-year-old. So, I mean, at some point he was able to compete with the best of the best. It really wasn't until like later on in his 3-year-old season that he sort of, they tried stretching him out and he just did not move forward at all. But he seems like a horse that they figured something out with. Always knew he was talented. And I think this is the kind of horse where you can really separate yourself because a lot of people are going to spread in this race, understandably. And Nick's Go is the horse that ran miles the fastest race last time out. But you're getting 7-2, 3-1, 5-2, 9-2, something in that range on this horse that for the fastest horse in the race. And it's similar to if Nashville was going to run in the sprint. I mean, he's not, but it's the kind of horse where you take a stand for or against, I think. And I very much think Nick's Go is legit. I think he probably gets the lead and the inside post here, both of which he wants. He's going to be the horse I have most of my money going through. Other than that, I'll probably, I did put a soft fade on Complexity. He's certainly the class of the field here, but the one time he did try going 2 turns, albeit as a 2-year-old, it was a disaster. If you look at that pedigree, that is a pure sprint pedigree. And I know he got a mile last time at Belmont, but we also saw 2 horses run today that got a mile at Belmont and then tried to stretch around 2 turns, going a mile and a 16th, and both of them got caught late with Day Out of the Office and Jackie's Warrior. So I do think that turn makes a difference. I mean, he's a more mature horse now. Maybe he gets it, but I'm probably not willing to take 2-1 to find out. So I'm going to put a soft fade on him. I do like Pirate's Punch, as was mentioned. And then the other horse that I'm going to use that I think could get totally ignored is actually the 2-horse Sharp Samurai. And I think people are going to look at this horse and say, it's a turf horse, and just kind of draw a line through him and move on. But I don't think you can really dismiss his specific classic form quite that easily. He ran a really strong number there. That's a 122 on time form, albeit tracking a slow pace. He ran a negative thoroughgraph in that race, and he stayed 1.25 miles. So he probably won't be that forwardly placed, cutting back to 1 mile. But I do think that's probably his best distance. I don't think he's ever really wanted to go 10 furlongs. And he clearly handles the dirt well enough. And I think that you're getting a horse here that was only beaten 3 lengths to max security at a distance that's probably too far for him. You get a pretty shrewd booking with Irad Ortiz taking the mountain here, despite the fact that Hernandez actually is in town. So for me, I don't know. I thought that's a horse that's going to get probably overlooked. He has that cozy inside draw, which is really important when you're going a mile at Keeneland because you basically start in the first turn, not even considering the fact the rail's been good. So I think that's going to be my other kind of long shot here. I'll probably try to work something with Nick's Go and Sharp Samurai.
I don't know if I don't want to say wise guy horse because I've been saying that a lot lately, but I know I've heard 2 or 3 different podcasts. I know Andy Byer was on doing a segment 2 nights ago, and they were talking Sharp Samurai up and down. So I'm wondering if he becomes the wise guy horse in this race. Just the logic is sort of he's a crazy talented horse. They and can kind of do anything, and maybe they've finally figured a spot where he's got a little less competition here.
Anything else?
What do you guys think of Art Collector?
This is too sharp for him, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean,
you see what Art Collector did in the Ellis Park Derby with that gate to wire running style, and you really kind of want to seeing a cutback there looks encouraging, but then you also in between have the Preakness where, Swiss Skydiver ran them off their feet. And I don't remember the Preakness too clearly as to if he had any trouble or anything. But, if you were to throw out the Preakness completely, then I think I'd be a lot more excited about Art Collector on that cutback.
Yeah, I don't particularly like him necessarily. I think he's here because he's not good enough to run in the Classic, not necessarily because he can't get the distance of the Classic. But he's a horse that I just thought was kind of interesting, and I wasn't sure what to do with.
Yeah, I had him as a B, mainly because I fell in the Caleb boat. I didn't know what to do with him. Obviously, he's classy. Something happened in the Preakness. That was obviously not his best effort. And, it's one of those horses that, he had a pretty good win streak going there, and you want to give him another chance. And this race tends to be you're not good enough to go to the Classic, so you go here race. So maybe that's what they're taking a shot with. And yeah, I think he's usable, but I don't know if he's a miler.
This is this is more prestigious than like the Clark, right?
Yeah.
Dirt mile.
I mean, they're both grade ones.
Because what's the Clark? What's the distance for the Clark? Isn't that like
it's a mile and an eighth? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm just curious because that would be like the next. It is mile and an eighth. That would be like the next. That's in a couple weeks. That would be the next spot that they probably could have run him. But I guess they could run him here and in the Clark. It's probably.
I think the money is more here for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Art Collector's never really excited me. And I know people were like really excited to bet him in the Derby, and I was very excited for people to bet him in the Derby. Yeah, I don't know. He just doesn't do it for me. So of course, he's gonna win. But
there was a comment in chat about does the Pacific Classic mean more for Sharp Samurai looking good or more about Max Security looking bad? I think the answer is both, to be honest. I think that Maximum Security of 2019 would have dusted Sharp Samurai. Maximum Security would still probably dust this field as well. So I think it speaks highly of Sharp Samurai to be able to, stick around. And but I don't think it necessarily bodes well for Max Security in the Classic because the level of quality in these two races is quite different.
Yeah, and that Classic, as I remember, was really oddly run. It was a sort of, I don't know, Max broke on top and then got passed real early down the backstretch, and they had to kind of swing wide and go around. It was sort of a weird merry-go-roundy kind of race. So
now you're thinking of the race before that, the Awesome Again.
Maybe? Oh, that was the one before. Okay.
Yeah, the one before that, because I remember that race. Max Security set a slow pace and just drew off in that in the Pacific Classic. Okay.
All right,
San Diego. That's what it was.
Let's move on here to the Philly and Mare Turf here. Or unless you got something, Chase? Did you got something?
I'm actually pretty jacked about this here Philly and Mare Turf because I've got a really in-depth idea of how this is going to run and have some horses that I'm kind of excited about here.
So Philly and Mare Turf, we're going to go 1 mile and 3/16 on the turf. Chase, I won't make the people wait any longer. What are you excited to say?
Okay, so after we saw how Aunt Pearl ran today, getting out on the lead, being able to run full bore and just keep it up for that entire mile race, and with some of the other turf results that we saw, people know that unchallenged speed on the lead is going to get away. Just no question about it. And before today, I would have said that Mean Mary was going to make the lead and was going to walk the dog and just get away with it. What I'm thinking is going to happen now is that one specific horse, Rushing Fall, is going to be the one that says, I'm not going to give you that easy lead. That horse has shown the versatility to get out there and run on the lead, not just be that, 1 length off stalker. So I think what you're going to see is actually a fairly hotter pace than what people might expect, with Rushing Fall being one of the two up there with Mean Mary going after it. And I think what it's going to do is it's going to force some of these deeper closers, especially some of these Euros, to run a little bit closer to the pace, It's going to tire out Mean Mary and Rushing Fall, and I think you're going to get maybe a decent price out of a Euro horse like the two that I really like, Peaceful and Terrabellum.
Yeah, I mean, I can't fault that. I can't fault that logic at all. Although I agree with your sort of pace setup, but I think first off, I think Rushing Fall is just faster than Mean Mary early. I think Rushing Fall ends up on the lead, but now there may be an argument that they may try to get the lead with Mean Mary. They may think that is their best way to win, or that she necessarily needs to be on the lead because that's how she's the only way she's ever really won is by being on the lead. So I don't really know what Sayas does if he's not as fast as Rushing Fall. Does he rush up, rush Mean Mary and force the lead? I don't know, but I know Rushing Fall can pass other horses. I think Rushing Fall is just faster than everybody else in here. With a turf course that was pretty speed favoring, I don't want somebody coming from 5 or 6 lengths back. And I really think that this is, I like Rushing Fall here. This is a race where I think people are going to try to get aggressive and try to spread. They're going to try to beat Rushing Fall. They're going to try to beat the logical horse. And I think I'm pretty happy having her be my own, being my lone A. And I think of the Euros, the one that I'm most interested in is Adiara, the 11, who is a horse that I think can be more forwardly placed of the Euros. She's not just that Euro that walk and then kick home. She kind of can be more involved early on. And and I think she's the classiest of the Euros. I know the Euro pool, she's the one that in this race is taking the most money. I can make a case for Mean Mary. Maybe she somehow figures out how to turn the tides on Rushing Fall. I think the issue with Rushing Fall is the stretch out. People are walking, can she go this far? And I know Chad has sort of avoided trying to push her further than a mile and an eighth. But
who dare question the mighty race mare Rushing Fall?
I mean, she is 5'6". She's 5'6" across this track. She likes this place. She's done really well here, and I just have a really hard time trying to. I know Caleb's going to make the comment. I know Chad Brown came out and said that he didn't really like sending Rushing Fall to the Breeders' Cup because he didn't really have a race for her. Thought the mile was a little too short, and can't run a mile and a half. So what do you do with her? And I think. And I guess if you're talking about that it falls apart situation, if you're talking about they go a little fast on the front end, the closer the other one I want is Sister Charlie, the 2. I know I'm going to get beat up on that one as well, but I think she's a horse that she doesn't, she's 10 of 17 lifetime. She's perfect at Keeneland. She's going to get some pace to run into, and Johnny V's got to make sure she doesn't get some of her races where she's back by 11 14 lengths. She can't do that here. She's got to be within probably 5 back at the worst. But if she can do that and stay close, I think she's a horse that's got quite a bit of punch late if Rushing Fall is a little short.
Yeah, this is when I first capped this race, kind of speaking like Chase said earlier, I sort of saw like, oh man, Mean Mary probably gets loose, and maybe she takes him all the way, and if not, then Rushing Fall probably runs her down just off the pace. But the more I looked at it, I think there is like sneaky speed in here, not enough to like contest the lead per se, but enough to where Mean Mary is not going to have like a 2-length cushion going 25-50. I do think Mean Mary gets the lead. I don't think they're going to send Rushing Fall to the front, even if she potentially has more tactical speed. If they didn't send her in the Diana, I don't think they're going to send her here. That being said, I do think a horse like maybe Harvey's Little Goyle or one of these California horses like Mucho Unusual maybe, somebody can get out there, even Nay Lady Nay, the fake Chad Brown, might just get out there to make sure that someone keeps Mean Mary company out front to set it up for his other 6 horses in this race. So I really think that I wanted to love Mean Mary. I've made a lot of money on Mean Mary, but I think this is probably not the spot to go for her. I'm not going to be against Rushing Fall. I do have a lot of concerns about the distance because, like Mark said, Chad kind of ducked this race for a while. But I still kind of think Chad was wrong before. He was wrong about Bricks and Mortar when he said he can't go 1.5 miles, and they shipped Bricks and Mortar to Arlington to run the Arlington Million instead of the Sword Dancer and everything else. So ultimately Bricks and Mortar got the distance, and it was his swan song race. I sort of think the same things happen for Russian Fall here. This is her final race. She's, in my opinion, a Hall of Fame mare. Probably deserves to be a single A in this race. I do really like Adaria, the European horse, the 11, I think. She does have a little bit of tactical speed. I mean, not like Mean Mary Russian Fall speed, but I don't think she'll be last or in the back of the pack by any stretch. She was only beaten a length to Tarnawa last out. Granted, she had a pretty big, I think she had a weight break there compared to Tarnawa, but still, that's a hell of a horse who I think is a big threat in the turf. So I think Adaria here is a major player, and if you can get double digits, which I don't know that you will, I think she's a huge threat. So that's probably the two I'm using the most. Rushing Fall probably is an A, and then maybe Adaria and the other European Terabellum actually is the other one I kind of liked as a B horse here.
Get on that Terabellum train. I'm watching replays right now. It looks beautiful.
Chase. I like the. I mean, she caught soft turf in her last 3. Also going a mile, which is potentially just a little shorter than she wants to go. She seems to do better at that 1.25 mile distance. Frankie Dettori's up. I think this is John Godson's only horse for the entire Breeders' Cup, and we know what he can do when he ships over here. He typically only ships his very live mounts, unlike somebody maybe like Aiden O'Brien who kind of ships the whole stable. So I think if this horse is here,
I believe it's a contingent. If it's European, it's a contingent. Yeah,
that's the one. So yeah, if this horse is here, I think it's very live, and I know Godson's barn's been a little bit cold lately, but this is one that I won't let beat me.
I was going to try and make a joke here, how I was going to single Nay Lady Nay, but I think that joke would not land in this group here. But yeah, I actually am going to have.
Were you going to make the Lay Lady Lay joke?
No, I was just going to say I was going to single it, and then I couldn't workshop it. I was workshopping it in my head, it just didn't sound good. So instead I half told it, and it probably sounds even worse. I'm actually gonna have
take it to open mic night.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a soft fade on the 4 here, Mean Mary. I'm not gonna have her on my tickets at all. Which I know is probably crazy because I love betting speed. But if anything, I would have her as maybe like a C type. I think if you want a forwardly placed horse in this race, it's clearly going to be my lone A in this race, which is the 6 Rushing Fall. I mean, this is just going to set up, I think, way too nicely for this horse. The distance, I guess, is a question mark, but this is definitely the most likely winner in Chad's best chance to get a win on this card. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Rushing Fall as my lone A. I got a couple other horses that I'm a little bit interested in. The 2 of the more outside placed horses here, the 9 Harvey's Little Goyle and the 10 Civil Union. I don't think you can really fault much that Civil Union's done. I mean, his rattle off 4 straight wins, has beat all comers, aka all fake Chads that have decided to show up against Civil Union. You get Joel Rosario aboard, who has already reared his ugly head, for better or for worse, this Friday. So I think that this is a horse that makes sense form wise. I haven't looked at the time form figs yet to see how this horse fits time form wise, but at least on Briz figs, this horse does fit quite a bit. Is going to be shortening up a little bit, so maybe the distance is still a question because I think this horse likes going long. I mean, I think it didn't seem to bother her going 1.5 miles, 1.5 miles, 3/8, 1.25 miles. But yeah, I really like this horse here. Harvey's Little Goyle. I like Harvey's Little Goyle coming into here because I think she's just rounding back into form here. Since switching, they tried her in the Alabama on dirt after she won the Regret for some godforsaken reason, and then as soon as they put her back on turf, she kind of figured it back out again. I mean, is a 3-year-old, so is got room for improvement and will need to improve in order to win this race. But this late stage 3-year-olds can't take a jump up. American Pharoah, the greatest turf sire of our generation, no matter what. Dirt sire, right? American Pharoah's a dirt sire per Andy Sterling.
Andy Sterling's a dirt sire, so yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Harzlik Oil makes sense here as kind of a slight price. I know Dennis was really high on Starship Jubilee. He made some pretty good points about Starship Jubilee. I wrote down that she's a B for me. I don't know. I don't know if I'm actually going to use her as a B, but it's just a cool horse. It has had a heck of a year. Besides that, Diana has really done nothing wrong this year. So it's another one that's got some good form coming into here. Since everyone kind of gave out a euro, the €1 that you guys didn't talk about that I was a little interested in, kind of wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on. What about this number 14, Cayenne Pepper? What do you guys think of? What do you guys think of this horse?
Yeah, Cayenne Peppers is the one that is apparently, well, I think the 8-1 is a little bit aggressive on the morning line. You're probably going to get double that. On time forms, not fast enough, not getting Lasix coming over here. And, but, I know, Caleb was talking up Mrs. Harrington, some of her horses. She's gotten quite a band of good horses as of late. And, this one is drawn outside, which did seem to be an opportune place to be. You're talking about 3-year-olds at the end of their 3-year-old season having the ability to jump up. Well, here's your 3-year-old at the end of their 3-year-old season who's been running for some real good company. And apparently this one from what I've read, tends to like a little bit harder ground and has never really caught a fast turf surface. So there's talk that this one could take another step forward, and it's a horse that basically has improved on figures every single start of her career. So there's some stuff to like there. Probably not a horse I'm using. I think the 8-1 morning was kind of hilarious just because I don't think the horse is fast enough, but it does have a right to move forward and is an interesting horse, definitely an interesting horse if you're a vertical player.
I just think if you look at her last 4 races, right, go 4 back, ran second to Magical. Ran second to Even So, ran second to Tarnawa, and then won another race. I wasn't real. I don't really know any of these horses, Amma Grace and Thundering Knights, but Amma Grace came back to win her next race. So I just think with the company that this horse has been keeping, I mean I think it makes sense. I don't know. I don't have any kind of speed figure here for time form. So I mean, maybe the horse is just way too slow. But at least looking at the company this horse has been keeping, the form that this horse is in, this horse did interest me quite a bit here.
Yeah, Cayenne Pepper is, her last out was her best race. She ran a 116. She'd been sort of running in that 110, 116 range. And, somebody like a Rushing Fall is running in the mid 120s, 121 to 126. So you're talking about 10 time form points faster. And then, the Euro that Caleb and I mentioned, Ardara, is running in the low 120s. So it seems to be on time form figs, at least. Cayenne Pepper is quite a bit slower.
Don't you add points to the Euro form for the US to get the US fig in time form?
You take time form figured number and minus 18, I think, is the number.
For the US time form fig?
I'm looking at actually time form. Like the actual time.
The time form figs from Europe are different than the time form US figs. There's a conversion you got to do.
You don't have to do them if you look at them on time form.
On time form US, I thought there was. Okay.
Yeah, the difference is just time form US accounts for weight, and time form ratings basically does not. The weight for age component is kind of the difference. But yeah, Cayenne Pepper wouldn't surprise me. I just liked others better. I don't think 8-1 excites me from the parking lot post. Outside may or may not be good, but I just have a hard time liking a horse that has no speed in the 14 post on a turf route. I just... unless it turns out to be just significantly biased tomorrow, I don't know that I really want to rush to bet that horse. But no, I mean, she could win and would not surprise me. I mean, if you look at that Tarnawa race, she was actually 6-5 that day against Tarnawa. So in a 9-horse field. So take that for what it's worth.
I got beer on my notebook.
Oh.
I just got this notebook.
Is that
on the wrong lead notebook?
On the wrong lead notebook? Oh no.
And you're storing some food in your beard for later.
Or it's just a really big gray hair.
It's just fuzz.
Yeah,
it might just be a really big gray hair.
All right, let's move on here to the 8th race here. We got the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Yeah, Yopan. All right, what do you guys think?
Murphy's fucking raking me over the coals about this race, by the way.
Oh, he is really. Why is it like? Why are you gonna start so many problems?
I don't start problems. I finish them. No, he said that Whitmore is trash and washed up, and I humbly disagree. And then I handicapped the race, and I was like, man, Yapan looks pretty unbeatable here. And I think I even kind of managed to backpedal a little bit with Murphy saying, okay, I think that Whitmore can hit the board. Yapan is going to be tough to beat. I can see a world where maybe it breaks down for Whitmore. I was telling someone in the BC chat, channel earlier that, I've already said that I'm really liking the on the rail, maybe someone who can squeak up the rail kind of move on the dirt for tomorrow. And I don't think that that's a move in Whitmore's repertoire. I believe Whitmore, the big boy, has to get out wide into the middle of the track and really start rumbling. And I say that because I'm thinking of, I believe it was the Forgo specifically at Saratoga, where the rail opened up for him. It was there, and he took the path of most resistance to make as much of a horizontal move as he could to get to the middle of the track to kind of start that run, and didn't get there. If Yapan isn't everything that Yapan is cracked up to be, then yeah, I think Whitmore can win this race. I think Yapan might be everything that Yapan is cracked up to be, though. I'm a big fan of Asmussen, sprinters, because why wouldn't you be? They fucking win all the time. I think they won every single 6 furlong sprint that they had at Saratoga this summer. If I'm going to consider anything outside of Yapan or Whitmore, it's going to be CZ Rocket. The reason for CZ Rocket is I can see maybe if someone goes with Yapan or tries to go with Yapan, heats it up a little bit. CZ from, I believe, the 3 post is going to be the horse that's going to be able to tuck into the rail behind them and get that sort of trip that I want, that I saw win today. That's why I consider CZ Rocket. Other than that, not really a huge fan of CZ Rocket. I could make a case for singling Yapan. I could also make a case for singling Yapan, but still tacking on Whitmore as another A with it out of fucking, respect, because that's one of the best living racehorses right now. But I got to think that Yapan wins it. If Whitmore could showed a little bit more versatility with where he wanted to run on the track, then I'd be all over Whitmore.
Yeah, I think for me, I love Whitmore. I'm a huge Whitmore fan for years and years and years. Chase and I have, we talk about this all the time, how much he's one of our favorite.
We talked about me getting a tattoo of Whitmore.
Of Whitmore. That was something
recently.
That was a conversation, yes. And I think we were, fangirling over Whitmore while I was hanging out on your couch. So, he's one of my favorite horses in training. I love him. I don't want to even think he need to say he lost a step. I think he's just not as good as Yapan is. Yapan sort of, towers over this field as far as most figs are concerned. He's going to be very speedy. He's going to be very forwardly placed. Now, you can make a very good case with Yapan over who's he beat. And I think that's the argument you have to sort of make. I love Whitmore. Whitmore will be on my tickets. But Yapan for me is just a lone A in here. And the horses that I think can beat Yapan might be a horse that's more, classy, a horse that has faced some better company. I think somebody like a Diamond Oops is actually kind of a little interesting in here. Horse that can sit 2 or 3 lengths off Yapan flying. If Yapan succumbs to, being stupid on the front end and collapses, somebody that can be right there and pick up the pieces. I think Whitmore's just going to have a little too much to do late. I don't want to say he's even lost a step. It's just I think it's.
I don't think he's lost a step. I don't think he's lost a step. I think he's kind of narrowed in his versatility. That I don't think he can do as many things as he used to. He used to be able to kind of run closer to the pace. He used to be able to come from way back. I think he's kind of got a sweet spot. He's old and he's fucking set in his ways. Back off. He's near retirement age. He's not a fixed income.
I love Whitmore, but I think one of the things that he lost in his lack of versatility is the ability to win outside of Oaklawn.
Fuck you. Fuck you in the face.
I mean, I definitely think that Yopan is a lone A here. Caleb pummeled me in the submission, and I retracted my other A in CZ Rocket here. I've moved him down to a B if I decide to use Bs, but it would probably like my Bs in this case would probably be more like Cs if anything. I was a little interested. And Caleb, maybe this explains why you were so cold because it seems like we're agreeing a lot today. So maybe that could be part of the problem. But I know Empire of Gold was a horse that we both kind of liked. That's a horse that I'll probably definitely be using as a C type. And I don't know what to do with Diamond Dupes. I'm interested in Diamond Dupes. I just don't know if I'm going to get the price to be interested in Diamond Dupes. I think Diamond Dupes might be. Too short. I mean, he's 8-1 on the morning line, which I don't know. I would need double digits, maybe 12-1 or something on Diamond Dupes, and maybe I'd get a little interested in that horse. But yeah, I just have a hard time getting around Yopan here.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Josh, and I don't know what that says about me for tomorrow. But I do think Yopan is the likeliest winner here, and he's done nothing wrong. I mean, he's beaten arguably nobody, but he's beaten nobody in the way that a good horse really should. So it isn't like he's all out to get up by a nose. So I'll take it. I'm disappointed that Vekoma scratched because I wasn't super interested in betting Vekoma here, and that was going to be your favorite. I think now the price on Yapone gets absolutely crushed, so that's going to be pretty disappointing. But really, the other two horses I like that we haven't talked about, one of them I feel pretty icky for saying, but I do like Firenze Fire here, actually. With Vekoma scratching, there really isn't a ton of speed in this race. Maybe Frank's Rocket goes, Yapon definitely goes, and then beyond that, there isn't a ton of confirmed speed. Empire of Gold probably gets involved. So I think Firenze Fire is going to be in that kind of first set back off the leaders. And I think he gets a really nice trip in here. He's a proven graded stakes horse, and I was kind of suspecting the wheels would fall off once he left the service barn, but they really didn't. If you draw a line through his two sloppy races where he just didn't handle the surface, he actually did run a couple nice races, and he was beaten by Whitmore, but that's kind of a goofy race where it was a 4-horse field with a very slow pace for a sprint. So I can kind of forgive that, and I do think Firenze Fire makes some sense here. The other one I like is actually the horse I just mentioned, which is Empire of Gold. And I know Josh also kind of likes this horse. Once again, I don't know what that says for me for tomorrow. But this horse really impressed me last time. I totally wrote him off in the Phoenix, thinking it's some trash Remington Lone Star horse. Cheap speed, going to fold up. And he made the lead, or he didn't really make the lead. He dueled with No Parole, who's a very fast horse. Put away No Parole, kicked clear in the stretch, and then just got a little bit tired. He switched to his wrong lead and lugged in. He got down onto that dead Keeneland rail at the time, and then Diamond Dupes was able to get past him. So I really think that just didn't necessarily have the greatest trip. When you consider that No Parole ended up running like 5th or 6th that race, I mean, he was much the best of the speeds there. He isn't really a need the lead horse, as he's proven he can pass other horses and come from off the pace. So if Yapon and Frank's Rocket and whoever else wants to go suicidal up front, then he can just as content to sit off in that second flight. And you hate to take a short price on a horse that just ran a huge race last time out at 50-1, but I don't think he'll be a short price here. I mean, he's 30-1 in the book, and you'll probably get most of that. So you might get 20-1, but I don't think he's going to be shorter than that with Declan Cannon, Terry off, and then Remington and
Declan Carroll. You got the wrong Declan.
No, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I think he's the long shot that I'm really interested in, and I'm going to have a lot of money probably keyed around him at least hitting the board.
So this whole time, just so you know, my brother has been texting me incessantly because apparently he doesn't know. He asks me the same question all the time, and right now I've been trying to explain to him the difference between inner and out of turf. So sorry that I'm been looking, staring down at my phone here. So it looks like Murphy just joined. So do you want to go back and talk about Whitmore again there, Chase?
Okay, Murphy. Whitmore has not lost a step. He's not washed up. He's just very set in his ways. I love Whitmore. I'm going to use Whitmore's on all my tickets because there's 100% a world where Whitmore can win this race, but probably Yaupon wins this race. I would like to see more versatility from Whitmore, and he just doesn't have it anymore. He's just going to be big and rumble down the middle of the track. If he was a horse that I knew could make that skimming ride, then yeah, I would say, fuck you, Murphy. Whitmore can 100% win this 100% of the time, and I don't care if you have access to the drugs that can put me to sleep for multiple days, or how sneaky you might be. But yeah, I mean that was my thing about Whitmore, and I really wish that he hadn't have raked me over the coals and made me have to say these kind of things, because it was really fucking emotional what I just did, and you just made me do it twice, Josh.
What do you guys what do you guys think about the one Echo Town? I see some talk in the chat about the one. I think Echo Town's going to be more of a next year horse, don't you think?
I think that Yaupon is the horse of the future, and I have a hard time seeing Asmussen saying, "All right, go Echo Town, take out Yaupon." So I think that horse. I mean, he might give some general half-hearted instructions to Ricardo Santana Jr., but it might include an aside that's like, if you see if Yaupon might be coming, you just need to fucking fall in the line and pick up some minors. That's still a good check for you.
Yeah, I don't think he's good enough to win. I don't think any of the 3-year-old sprinters, with the exception of Yaupon, are particularly talented. Not counting Nashville, obviously, who's not in this race. Yeah, I'm just not that excited for Echo Town. He could win, but I don't know how he works out a trip from the rail. He can't really go, but he also can't really close. I don't really know.
He's also not fast enough.
The quarter horse whisperer is asking, or he likes Frank's Rockette. Shout out to DJ Vasquez. Frank's Rockette, which interestingly is here because Bill Mott says that she wants 6 furlongs, not 7. So, what do you guys think about Frank's Rockette in this race?
Frank's Rockette is, I mean, that's a good early speed horse. It's just you might be, and dude, Bill Mott, I love what you've done for me all summer through Saratoga and Belmont. Big ups. Like, I wish it was your birthday every day. But Frank's Rockette, I mean, it isn't fast enough to throw down with Yaupon, and I don't think that she's fast enough to stay close enough in rate and still have enough in the tank to run down Yaupon.
If Yaupon pulls a Tacitus, maybe she can get loose on the front end and wire this. But I think she needs the lead, and she's not going to get it here.
She's not fast enough. I mean, she's here because she can't get 7 furlongs, and this is too tough.
All right, I think we sufficiently beat that race to death. Let's move on to race 9, the Breeders' Cup Mile. Shout out to Keep Pounding, who was here with me on the podcast. In case you guys haven't listened to it, I had a couple guests on, and we did talk through some of these races on podcast, so you guys can check that out if you have another 2.5 hours before tomorrow's races. But Breeders' Cup Mile. This is an interesting race. Pace wise, I kind of think that it kind of starts and ends with Factor This. I think, I was against Factor This last time out.
Wrong.
I think I'm wrong about being against Factor This, or I'm wrong about Factor This.
It's not gonna be Factor This. But please continue. You're wrong.
Okay. I think Factor This is the fastest horse early in this race. Apparently Chase thinks I am wrong. But I only have one A in this race, and that is going to be the 2 Kamiko in this race. I think Kamiko shipping over. You get Oyson Murphy staying aboard. Kamiko's been keeping really good company overseas. Just won that Group 2. I think that Kamiko makes a lot of sense in this race. I have a feeling that I have a hard time differentiating a lot of these American horses in this race. So I got kind of spready.
So you
after
opted
that.
for the horse named after a Gigapet?
Yes, I went with the Gigapet. Another horse I actually really like is Circus Maximus. I think Keep Pounding beat me up a little bit about the Circus Maximus. Circus Maximus has fallen off form, but has been racing against really good horses here. Ran third behind Pinatubo and Persian King, 2 back. The last race at Ascot was just nowhere to be found, but won the Queen Anne Stakes this year. So, I'm interested in Circus Maximus. I think this is Aidan O'Brien's I think this is probably Aidan O'Brien's best chance at in this race, because I think he's got a couple in here, doesn't he?
We got Circus Maximus. He's got Lopin Fernandez
and Order of Australia drew in. I like this is the Aidan horse in this race that I like the best. And then it kind of gets murky after that. I got March the Arch, who I was kind of into, but after losing all that money to that horse at Woodbine, I don't know how interested I am to lose more money. Factor This, I think, is a B type. I have him as plus on the pace. There's 3 Chad Browns in this race, and I think there's only one that you need, and that's Uni. I'm not really interested in the other 2 Chads here. Chase, Chase, I don't know, man. You just look like you're dying to jump in and just tell me how wrong I am about Factor This being the pace in here. So what are you thinking?
This is the horse that, like, yesterday I was so fucking excited about Fire at Will. This is the horse that I'm so fucking excited about for Saturday is Halliday. Halliday ran a monster race over almost the exact same conditions, the exact same kind of speed favoring track at Saratoga. Halliday is going to get on the lead and get loose. Halliday, big price. That horse is going to run Factor This in the fucking ground. Boom. Halliday. Love it. That is my play. Maybe a little bit of Factor This, but mostly Halliday.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't think Halliday gets loose here. I think Factor This can stalk Halliday, and Halliday got loose on a stupidly speed favoring track on the inner and the 4-star Dave, and just wired a field. And it was a merry-go-round. Nobody passed. No one was able to catch up at all. I think Keeneland is speed favoring, but I think it's much more fair than that 4-star Dave was. And also, I think you have less kind of sort of sharp corners, which sort of make. I think the Keeneland turf surface is a little more friendly to closers. I don't hate Halliday, but I want to go somebody else in here. I think Kameko is one of the better milers in the world. Probably you're talking top 5 right now, turf milers in the world. That last race was just absolutely massive. And this is a 3-year-old towards the end of his 3-year-old season who really seems to be figuring it out. And I think they finally figured the distance that he wants. He's 3 for 4 in the exact at a mile. And I think this should set up really well for him. And he does have experience around some corners, around a left-hand turn. So that's not something you have to sort of worry about with him. And the other horse that you sort of you try to beat up that I think probably want the most of is Factor This in here. I think Factor This gets wrong, gets real loose on the front end. Well, I shouldn't say loose on the front end. He's going to have company on the front end, but I think of the horses, he doesn't need the lead. He can deal with pace pressure. He's done that before, and I think he can sort of run him into the ground here. And I don't know if they can necessarily run him down late. Again, he's a horse that recently, Brad Cox has been winning everything that's not tied down. You obviously saw the day that Cox had today, and this horse seems to have sort of stepped it up another notch in his past couple of starts. I think he's coming into it in really good form, and I expect another really solid effort out of him.
Halliday.
I unfortunately have to side with Mark that I think Factor This is the speed horse that I want here.
I gave you a fucking pep talk.
Halliday. Like he caught like Mark already mentioned, he caught a pretty favorable setup in the 4-star Dave with the not only a speed bias, but the rail was also a significant advantage that day as the rails came down. He also missed his last start with an infection. Had to scratch out of the Shadwell Turf Mile.
He caught awesome. What can he do about it?
I'm not too sure that I want to take that horse out of that kind of a, not really planning to miss that start. Kind of just an interesting tidbit of sorts is every winner in the last 10 years prepped at either Keeneland, Woodbine, or Longchamp for this race. So nobody at Belmont, nobody at Ascot, nobody at Newmarket or anywhere else. So kind of an interesting tidbit that I'm not going to base my entire betting strategy around, but I am probably going to consider that. I do have to make some adjustments this year, given the unusual racing calendar of like the Preakness being in October, for example, for Factor This. But I do really like Factor This. I think he's a very classy horse. Brad Cox horses are absolutely running their eyeballs out so far. So I think this horse is, whether he gets the lead or sits just off, I like him either way. I think I could see a very similar ride to what we saw on Aunt Pearl today, honestly. So I do like Factor This. I put a soft fade on Kamiko, whatever his name is. His last race is monstrous, and I definitely recognize that. But it's kind of the only race he's ever ran anywhere near that. And I'm just not sure if he's going to really turn around and run right back to that race. He is a great miler, but he's really more of like a staying miler. He's not really an explosive turn of foot, blow you away in the turn kind of a horse. He's more of like a grinder that just keeps coming at you. So I'm not really sure how the 2-turn mile, the American configuration is really going to suit him. And I do think he'll get overbet. I don't think he'll get anywhere near 6-1, to be honest. So the other horses I kind of used in addition to Factor This was horses that I'm going to work in at a huge price for the both of them, which is the 6 Safe Voyage. So it's a 7-year-old horse who very rarely runs a poor race. The one thing I kind of like about this horse, and it may be a stretch for an outright win, but maybe more of a board hitter or more of a B or C type horse, is that all those good races came going left-handed. The race at Leopardstown, the race at York, the race at Epsom and Haddock Park. I think I mentioned this last night, maybe. Those are all left-handed racetracks around the turn. And it just seems to be that's where he runs his best races. I think the mile is a solid distance for him. He does have a little bit of tactical speed. So I do think that he's a pretty interesting horse here. The no Lasix is a little bit concerning. I'm not really sure what's going on there. But he's a horse that I thought was interesting that's probably going to get completely ignored in the betting. And the other one I liked was a horse I'm going back to the well on is Casa Creed. So this horse, you've heard us talk about the 4-star Dave and how it was a complete merry-go-round. Nobody passed. The rail was golden, everything else. This horse was 6th and was the only horse to make up ground that day. And made up considerable ground from 6th to 3rd, against Halliday and Got Stormy, who were 1-2 the whole time. So I thought that was a really nice effort. I bet the horse back in the Shadwell Turf Mile, and Martin Garcia inexplicably put him on the lead and set pretty fast fractions in a race that totally fell apart. That being said, at that time, you did not want to be on the lead at Keeneland in the early part of the fall meet, on the turf anyway. It was definitely a closer favoring track. And he didn't fade all that bad given those fractions. He ran 4th, but was only beaten 2 lengths to horses that came from last, 3rd from last, and I think mid-pack. So I do think he ran a respectable race there. He's another that I'll probably get overlooked compared to the Chads and the Euros, but he's one that I'm definitely going to have on some of my tickets.
Yeah, you'd also, one other thing about Safe Voyage is he's been beating around with one master. The past year, they've kind of taken turns beating one another, and one master is not going to scratch out of this. So it's one less horse who, in one master, is, again, very highly regarded turf miler, so that he doesn't have to deal with it here. So, I think Safe Voyage, I think the morning line is pretty, I don't think you're going to get 15-1, let's put it that way. I would imagine this horse is going to take quite a bit of money.
I'm going to be fucking insufferable when Halliday wins.
We didn't really talk about this horse, but another horse that I didn't know what to do with. I hear a bit of buzz about this horse, but I don't know if you guys know anymore. The 4 Siskin. You guys hear anything about this?
Siskin on paper just isn't fast enough, but for some reason, Siskin seems to take a ton of the Euro money. There's a lot of Euro interest in this horse. Not getting Lasix and on paper just isn't fast enough. So I don't understand all the Euro love for him. But yeah, I've seen the same sort of buzz around Siskin. The other horse that nobody mentioned that I'm amazed no one has mentioned is Ivar. Nobody's no Ivar love, huh?
I'll let Joe Talamo beat me on the turf every freaking day of the week. So
no
Ivar's
room
kind
for
of
Ivar love. Only have Halliday love in my heart.
Ivar's definitely the if you miss the wedding, don't go to the funeral kind of horse. Like if you didn't catch him last time, that was kind of the time.
I think you got a catchphrase. That was nice. I liked that.
That was good.
you guys have literally never heard that before?
That was well.
Oh,
I mean,
I've
but
heard
coming from his pretty mouth though, like that was beautiful. Like if you had said that, Josh, I probably would have been like, I don't know how I feel about that. But when
I
Caleb
changed that
says
line.
it-
Halliday wins.
So we didn't really talk about the Chad horses. I mean, I talked a little bit about Uni, the defending champion here, but Raging Bull or Digital Age, any love?
I have Uni love. I can go to Uni. She's obviously defending champion, loves the turf course at Keeneland, 8-11 at the distance. But you can make a pretty good argument that she's sort of tailed off this year. She hasn't been the same horse she was last year. Doesn't have quite as much punch. Her first lady was a good race, but it's not the good race as she was running last year. As a 6-year-old, I hate the term lost a step, but I think she might have lost a step. She's a horse I feel like I need to use, but she's more of a defensive use than a horse I'm really excited to use because I think she takes more money than she probably deserves to take. And I hate Raging Bull. I've hated Raging Bull for years. Love the Chad Brown barn. That's just a horse I do not like, and just don't want to use him at all.
Digital Age is a horse that I've lost so much money to because I'm like, oh, he's not fast enough to win. And then he like improves and he beats me and then moves up in class. And I'm like, oh, well, he's not fast enough to win. And then he improves and then he beats me again. And like, once again, I'm saying Digital Age is not fast enough to win. So save this clip because he'll probably improve and beat me again today.
No, I think I think you're right, Caleb, because I was on Digital Age before his race at Churchill Downs, where he won on Kentucky Derby Saturday, with my argument being that he's been the horse that's been kind of steadily improving. But what happened was he really just kind of ran into a track at Churchill Downs that was tailor-made for Digital Age. And I think that's why he got the win. And I think without that kind of that aid, he's going to be up against it. If I were going to pick any of those horses that's actually going to hit the board and maybe be in there for minor awards, it's probably going to be Uni.
Maybe he just likes Churchill Downs. I think he's 2 for 2 there.
And isn't Digital Age going to be like way out of this? I don't think you want to be. I mean, he's not going to be forwardly placed. He's going to be 6 lengths off this, isn't he? And I just don't see a way he could rally from that far back.
Well, and like that's the thing.
Exactly what Mark said. Like it doesn't work out for Digital Age.
But at Churchill, you have that big, mile-long front straight where he can just get up and roll it down. You got much shorter straight at Keeneland, and I just don't think he can get that big, long, lumbering, rolling, whatever thing that he does.
Like, is there any chance that any of these Chads end up getting used as a rabbit?
No,
right? Like, they're all too...
Well, they're not fast. I mean, that's the problem. Even if you wanted to.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just like...
We've seen him sacrifice horses that aren't speed types and just fucking send them for the lead. But, for the sake of like a Clairvic horse or something
I've also seen Mike Maker pull a fast one on Chase with Marzo a couple times.
I hit him that one time, so...
Chase, where's your Thace in this race?
I don't have to make the case for Thace this year.
But I did a triple Ryman, and you only did a double.
The case for Thace is precedent at this point. Like, I don't know why we're rehashing what's fucking common law at this point.
Because you said Halliday.
We need tort reform. Why are we doing this, Mark? No, dude. Fuck you, Halliday. Halliday.
There was a little bit of talk about another horse in this race, or Lope Fernandez. for Aidan O'Brien. I see Frankie Dettori aboard, and this is one of the few Euros that's actually getting Lasix. So that kind of intrigued me a little bit, but I think this is another one of those horses that, Mark, that I think we've kind of said multiple times. I think this horse might just be too slow.
Yeah, I think he's too slow, and this is a horse that I don't know if he wants to go this far. His biggest time form fake was that race, the Kerr, where he went a mile, but most of his damage has been done at really like 6 and 7 furlongs. I think it's a little more than he wants, and he's been put away by the likes of the One Mester and Siskin, who are also in this race, and I would rather go with one of those two over Lope Fernandez.
But I like where your head's at, Josh, because the Aidan O'Brien, shipping across the pond and then adding Lasix, like that's a traditional, even if it's not, or even if it hasn't been as much the last few years, but like that Aidan O'Brien coming over, adding Lasix for the first time on a well-seasoned horse, like that's a strong angle. And who's to say it doesn't work this year? I wouldn't fault you for that, but it's going to be Halliday.
You do realize Aidan O'Brien's over his last 30 in the United States, right?
I don't care. It's about catching him that one time. It's about catching him when he's 1 for 31.
Yeah, I don't think he can win, but he's 30-1, so I'm not going to beat you up on him.
Yeah,
he does seem like the horse.
You got to
benefit from.
Josh has an angle. Let him fire away, man. Go for it.
Yeah, I will say he's the kind of horse where when he's good, he ran a good race against Pinatubo a few back, and the Grade 1 Prix Jean Pré, I don't know, whatever race that race was. Ran a nice race there. Only lost by 3/4 of a length to Pinatubo. So, on his best day, he's a nice horse. But he just seems to have kind of some holes in him somewhere because he has some really bad clunkers. So, I don't know. I kind of think he could be the kind of horse that would really benefit from Lasix, but I'm not sure this is the right distance.
Last horse, because One Master did scratch any interest in the also eligible Order of Australia in here. He scratched today to enter in here, so
he's way too slow.
Yeah, way too slow.
Okay. I think we talked about pretty much every single horse in this race.
Do we know who's riding Order of Australia?
Oh yeah, because Christophe Soumillon is
You got the Rona.
Soumillon got the Rona.
I don't know.
Yes,
I would guess it's probably Keen.
Yeah.
No, Keen's on
Christophe Salmillion.
He's got the Rona. Soumillon, he's got the Rona. I wouldn't be surprised. Would you think they toss Doyle aboard since she's here?
I might give Holly a ride.
So Sophie is in
Holly Doyle.
She's running at Remington Park.
Wrong Doyle.
Oh, I go straight to Soph. I love you, Sophie, so much.
All right, let's move on. Race 10, we got the distaff here, mile and an eighth on the main track. This looks like a 2-horse race from an odd standpoint with Swiss Skydiver and Monomoy Girl. This is actually one of our prop bets, which we had Monomoy Girl versus the field. Caleb, I think you haven't had a chance to go first yet. So what do you think here?
So I think that despite taking the field on our prop bets, I'm going to be mostly through Monomoy Girl here. I just think that she's the most consistent, safest, does nothing wrong, gets every distance, shows up every time kind of a horse. And with the way Brad Cox horses ran today, she might, cross the finish line, sprout Pegasus wings and ascend to the heavens after the race. So I don't really get how she gets beat here, to be honest. I will say Swiss Skydiver is a filly who I love. She's so much fun. She dances every dance. She doesn't skip races, doesn't have any bullshit 6-month layoff, train up to the Oaks kind of shit. I mean, I love that Kenny McPeak was talking shit on Tyler Gaffleone for that ride in the Oaks. I really love this horse, but that Preakness effort was big.
Do you guys see this fire? Do you see the fire that we just got out of Caleb?
Oh,
Do you see the passion that just came? This man is winning the BCBC tomorrow. That's the fire that was missing.
The fire's back. I love
fire
her.
in the belly.
But I do kind of worry that Preakness was hard fought. Just an absolute eyeball duel with Authentic all the way to the wire. This is not a long turnaround, and I'm a little concerned she gets, bounces a little bit off that top. She has kind of bounced before off of one of her previous races. I can't remember which one that it was now. It might have been the I think the Fantasy or the Gulfstream Park Oaks. But either way, I kind of think that she's the main threat to Swiss Skydive or to Monomoy Girl, but I think she probably takes a step backward rather than repeats or takes a step forward. But if she does, then I think her upside is just almost limitless. An amazing filly, but I think Monomoy is probably the safer bet in this race. And to be honest, I don't think anybody else in this field can win. If you want to get cute with underneath bets and try to work in, a CC or Harvest Moon or somebody that's fine. But I don't think anybody else in this field can win other than those two.
I got a question for all you other figure users, because I need a sanity check. And I mean, I often need sanity checks. I think I've needed one every single race. How much slower is Horologist than the rest of this field?
Not that much.
Because I literally
I
keep
actually-
on trying to make a case for Horologist in this race. I know that she's got that whole she only wins at Monmouth, but that Beldame.
People from New Jersey steal things like this. Shit, horologists could steal this.
But that Beldame at Belmont, was pretty good and beat some pretty decent horses. I mean, it didn't beat a Monomoy Girl or a Swiss Skydiver, but beat Point of Honor and Dunbar Road and beat them bad enough that we're probably not going to talk about those horses in this race. So I'm a little interested in using Horologist as a B or C type in this race, just because I feel like the value in this horse is going to be tremendous horizontally if you get around. I think the value in any horse, if you get around Swiss Skydiver and Monomoy Girl, which is, to be safe, like that's, or to be real, like that's a really, really tall ask. But I mean, horses that are 10 or 12 to 1 are going to be playing like 20 to 1 or more, I think, horizontally in that case. And I think the one that I want is going to be Horologist. I was kind of back and forth the coin flip with Swiss Skydiver and Monomoy Girl. I think I'm with you, Caleb. I think you single Monomoy Girl. The horse has done nothing wrong. The horse just keeps winning. I don't see Swiss Skydiver winning this race. I actually think Swiss Skydiver probably would have done better running in the Classic, which I know sounds a little crazy, but Mark's shaking his head, so I'm guessing Mark loves Swiss Skydiver here.
No, I do not love Swiss Skydiver. I actually like the horse.
We got our own thing going on.
Yeah, we have our own thing going on here. I've mentioned. My top pick in here is a horse that you guys have yet to mention.
If it's Dunbar Road, I swear to God,
it is not Dunbar Road.
Okay.
No, I mean when I
the slightly lesser mighty race mare.
No, when I handicap this race, looking at an 8-5 horse, you're expecting I start with figures. That's where I start. I start with speed figs. I expected the speed figs on Monomoy Girl were just going to tower over this field, and they just plain don't. She's walked every walk. She's talked. She's done everything you could ever ask. She loves to win. She's out of 100 horses, 101 horses.
If we asked her to talk, she didn't talk. You started to say it. That horse has never talked. I said
it, but she'd probably neigh or something. Yeah. But no. So when I see something like that, where I say this horse is going to be extremely short, she's going to be shorter than 8-5, and I look at the field and I say, but she's not that much faster than the field. I'm going to try to find somebody that I think can beat her. And the horse that I want to try to beat her with here is Valiance, the 8. Valiance is a horse that is, they finally realized this is not a turf horse. She's 4 for 5 across the turf, but she's just not good. She's better on the dirt. They put her, she got taken off on that Easton Town. She won easily. They dropped her in the Spinster and she won that fairly easily. And beat some of the likes of Ollie's Candy and She Dares the Devil. And obviously She Dares the Devil was coming off the, Kentucky Oaks win. So I think Valiance is a really talented up and coming horse here. And if you look at Valiance's last fig, that's actually faster than the last, anything that Monomoy's girls run this year. Actually, I think anything Monomoy girls run almost ever. Now, maybe the fig's a little bit inflated, and I, wouldn't argue with that. But I think Valiance has a really good shot here. they're going to go a little, going a little fast. I think Valiance can sit sort of that pocket trip, sit length and a half, 2 legs back, nice and covered up, and then we'll know at the top of the stretch if she's good enough. I also like the fact that Valiance has a win, on the Keeneland surface in her last start, at this distance. So I think there's a lot to like with Valiance. I've heard a lot of wise guys talking this horse as well. I don't think you're going to get 12-1, but this is the kind of race.
I think you get higher.
Maybe you get higher. I think in this is the kind of race where if you can get around the chalk, your horizontal payouts go through the roof. And so are you trying to just be right, or are you trying to be profitable? If you're trying to be profitable, you're going to try to get around somebody like Monomoy Girl. So yeah, that's where I'm landing.
Just a quick heads up before you go, Chase. Mike, also from the podcast, Gorgonzola on Twitter, loves Valiance in the spot as well. So go ahead, Chase.
So I was going through the BC card for today, and I got like a late email from my buddy Chris Hutz, who's a local guy here in Little Rock that like I handicap, go to Oaklawn with, and he said, "Hey, I think I found a horse in the distaff that I like. What do you think of Valiance?" And when I got the email, I was like, "Man, I mean, it looks good. I mean, it makes sense, but I just don't think that, I think the track might be speed favoring, and Swiss Scott Ivor and Monomoy Girl just throw down." After seeing the juvenile today and what happened to Jackie's Warrior, I thought, like he texted me, I texted him again. And I was like, "Hey, we need to have another conversation, because I might have just completely flipped what I think about Valiance. I think that's a really I think that's a great play with Valiance. I think Valiance gets a amazing setup. I think the figures are there. I think basically everything that Mark said is just like a check mark in the pro column. If I'm going to use any other horse, it's going to be Horologist, because people from New Jersey steal things, and every day should be Bill Mott's birthday. Like I said, Bill Mott has won me a fuck ton of money recently, so I'm not going to overlook his horses. But yeah, I think Valiance is a great play, especially when you have Monomoy Girl, who, I mean, this is going to be the last race before she retires. Here's the deal with when horses retire. It's not, they don't just like run off into the sunset with a victory. They usually just underperform in a stakes race and then they're done. I mean, Swiss Skydiver is great. The fact that she's not in the Classic makes me think that the connections think that she's not good enough for the Classic, but she's good enough to win here. But I mean, she's up against it with Monomoy Girl, and Valiance is the horse that could 100% just dust bust up those fucking pieces. So yeah, I love Valiance here.
I like, the interesting thing to me is I think Swiss Skydiver appreciates the longer distance. I thought maybe 1.25 miles would suit her better, but I mean, I guess they want to run into the buzzsaw that is Monomoy Girl. I do see in the chat, Case is making a case or saying that Ollie's Candy is due for a big one, and because he brought Ollie's Candy up, this is something I did give out in the podcast. I think that if you're looking to play anything vertically here, I think that Ollie's Candy is a horse that you can build around and key in second and third. So maybe if you like Monomoy Girl, you play Monomoy Girl on top, you play Ollie's Candy in second, and you toss in a couple horses in third, and then you just flip it. I mean, Ollie's Candy, you pretty much guarantee this horse is going to show in this race. I mean, the horse is a trier. The horse does it up on the lead, does it from a little bit off. I think that this is just a real versatile horse. It's a real cool horse. I mean, the unfortunate thing is that I just think that she keeps on running into horses that are better than her, or she just doesn't like to win. I don't really know, but use that to your advantage. This is going to be a horse that's going to be double digits, that's going to end up in second or third. Build a try around this horse, or if you're feeling less, build a super around this horse and key it in third and fourth. But I think Ollie's Candy is definitely going to get a check in this race.
So this is my knock that I think makes me feel that even if you don't like Monomoy Girl, you think that she might be just kind of done and this is her last race. You think Swiss Scott Ivers, the new shooter on the scene, and she's really talented. This is my angle for going against it, and it's based off of what Tiz the Law did in the Kentucky Derby, which was these young horses that are about 3 years old that have been on this very extended COVID, Kentucky Oaks, Kentucky, Black Eyed Susan, all trail where they've been running very, very consistently, like every single month. You saw, I feel like Tiz the Law just kind of hit the wall in the Kentucky Derby because they're, for a 3-year-old, there's just kind of not much tread on the tire there. That's why, I kind of like them in the Classic to, bounce back after a layoff. Swiss Skydiver's never gotten that layoff. And you got to probably argue that she's most likely threw up her biggest effort of her career in the Preakness. Once again, why she's most likely dropped down to the distaff and not running in the Classic against the boys. So, I mean, if you're going to go against a horse like that, you got to have an angle other than I just don't like them, unless it's a Bob Baffert horse or, trained by Chad Brown. But I think that is enough of an angle for me to take the shot against Monomoy Girl and Swiss Scott Ivor and take the shots with like Valiant.
I was going to say, I think Mr. Monomoy is MIA. So,
sir, absentee Monomoy father.
Anything else you guys want to add to this race, or you guys ready to go on to the turf?
No, I'm good.
All right. BC Turf. All right, we're going to be going 1.5 miles on the turf here at Keeneland. We got another big full field. We got 10 horses here. No scratches, I don't think. Yeah, we got morning line favorite, and I think this horse is just going to be really, really hard to beat in this race. Channel Maker, a little joke there for people who are new to us here.
You had so many options, and you didn't use our club?
No, I mean, I thought Channel Maker was the better joke, but yeah, Magical. Oh my god, I scrolled way too far. Magical is going to be the big horse in this race for Aidan O'Brien. The 2-horse Ryan Moore riding this horse. This horse is easily the most formful horse in this race. I mean, has beaten some huge names such as Gaiath. Has beaten Magic Wand, Anthony Van Dyke, rest in peace. And finished second to Enable a couple times. I mean, there's really nothing that this horse has done wrong, and I think is kind of got a soft field here. And I have a really hard time trying to get around Magical too far, with the exception of another one of the Euro horses in this race that I think I'm going to use a bit of. Mark, what do you think here?
So this race is super, super, super interesting to me because the logical play is to hop in here and go, okay, Magical is arguably one of the best turf horses in the world right now, and just use Magical. But horses that have come off from that last out at Ascot, that Quipco Champion States, have not run well out of it. There's a lot of talk that apparently it was sort of a bottomless bog, really deep turf, and that horses coming back just have not run well. So you get that game of, well, is Magical gonna bounce and not really run back and be the normal Magical? So then you go, oh, okay, well, geez, where do I jump from there? Well, Tarnawa, it comes out of the Opera, which is a great prep for this. It's one of the most prestigious races. It's on the ARC undercard, and one of the most prestigious races in the world. Well, the problem with Tarnawa is her jock came down with the Rona. So, and apparently she's a bit of a head case, a little bit tough to ride, and Suleiman has been perfect on her. So Suleiman, I can't.
Who got the mount there?
It's some nobody, Teft or something like that.
He-Man Herky. He-Man Herky.
It's not He-Man Herky. It's not He-Man Herky. Get the hell out of here. Who is it, Caleb?
It's Colin Keane, the kid who's riding Siskin. He's going to be one of Aidan O'Brien's riders next year. He's fine.
Yeah,
see the apprentice that had the mount on the Euro you were talking up yesterday.
Okay,
we don't have to talk about that now.
Yeah, so you get into this thing of, well, okay, then a little bit of a horse that's a little hard to ride, that gets a little scary there. And then you start going, well, do you go to somebody like a Lord North? Well, Lord North, his last start kind of is inexcusable. He ran horrible. Comes out of that same Quidco Champion Stakes that Magical came out of, and you sort of have to make an excuse for his last out. Now, there's, that sort of does scream horse bled, just on the form lines of a horse that's running real well. Drops a clunker, they ship him to the United States, and he's getting Lasix when he comes here. So you wonder if maybe he runs a lot better in here. And and then you get into the 3-year-old Mogul on the outside. Mogul needs to find more form than he's historically found to be a player in here. But if he can step forward a little bit, and there's some question marks on some of the other big players in here, he's a horse that's super, super interesting. I had a really, really hard time with this race, and I'm still not 100% sure how I'm going to play it, because there's just so many question marks. I sort of want to use all 4 of them equally, even though I know Magical is the best horse. Just that whole thing of horses coming out of that last start not running well scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, I think if you really are determined enough, you can poke holes in every hero in this field, but I still think a European wins this race 9 times out of 10, and it's probably Magical 5 of those times, I would say. Like I get the concern about the bad ground last time, but she's a horse that almost never runs poorly. So I would tend to not necessarily downgrade her based off of how other horses from that race have ran back, although I understand the concern. She also ran her career best race, actually, at Churchill Downs 2 years ago when she was put on Lasix in the Breeders' Cup in that runner-up race to Enable. I think she's going to really pop tomorrow in the turf. I was all in on Tarnawa, actually, even though I just talked about Magical quite a bit. I was all in. The jockey change has me a little bit concerned. I mean, this is a horse that the trainer acknowledges takes some knowing before you can actually ride her quite easily. But on tape, she is so impressive. I mean, she has just an absolutely devastating turn of foot. She was up against a very slow pace in the Prix de l'Opera and last time out, and she just made it look easy from pretty far back. She was so much the best that day. I'll be watching to see how Cayenne Pepper runs, considering she did beat Cayenne Pepper a few starts back, same as Ardaria in that last race. So I'll be interested to see where or how they do. Tarnawa here, I think she's here despite being a 4-year-old filly because she wants a 1.5 miles more so than the fact that she wants to face the boys. But I do think she's plenty good enough. So I'm going to probably use Magical and Tarnawa about equally, with then probably maybe a little bit of Lord North and Donja actually is kind of board hitters or BC type horses. I'll probably let Mogul beat me, and I clearly won't use any Americans.
So real quick, Chase, before you go, you want to go? Go for it.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. I would like to point at you while you're talking.
Okay, I just wanted to take a look at the European odds in this race real quick.
There.
We got Magical at 5-2. I'm looking at Bet365. He's as short as 2-1 on some books, but 5-2 is I think the best price you'll get on him or her. Sorry, 7-2 on Tarnawa, 7-2 on Mogul, 15-2 on Lord North, and then you start getting American horses. The favorite American horse is Channel Maker at 12-1, and then you got United at 12-1, Arklow at 14. Medaya at 20, and then you got Red King and Donja at 50-1. So, in case you were wondering what they were doing across the way.
Here, when I looked at this originally, I thought Channel Maker was a really good bet. Maybe even I want to single Channel Maker. Here's the deal, though: is we run into the issue of the big girl with the fine friends. Who's going to jump on the grenade? Who's going to be the one that actually goes and takes out the early pace of Channel Maker? And there's a horse there, and it's a West Coast horse that has the kind of running style that's going to neutralize Channel Maker. And that horse is United with Flaving and Pratt aboard. That's the perfect mount, the perfect jock to get out there and try to run with Channel Maker and make this a race. And Caleb, Could you like lean closer into your camera before I say this,
Sure thing,
please? A little closer. Look, a little closer.
Can't read any farther.
I think this race might set up well for Arklow if United and Channel Maker, if United takes the big girl home and satisfies the early pace needs and maybe the sexual needs, who knows, of Channel Maker, then Arklow is definitely a horse that could be in there. I know with this distance of a race that the inside post draw probably doesn't matter quite as much, but I like that Arklow's inside there. Outside of that, you mentioned all the Euro horses that I'm going to want, but I really just want, please take a big swig out of the bottle after I said Arklow might win this race. Mission accomplished. I'm done. I'm going to log off the stream now. I've gotten everything I want out of it.
You mean you said Arklow with a straight face?
I'm dead inside, so it's pretty easy for me to just lie like.
You're not really using Arklow, right?
Yeah, I'm going to.
On purpose?
Hey man, the price is gonna, like Josh said, looking at these foreign books with the prices on Magical, Tarnawa, Mogul. I mean, the price is gonna be there. I feel like I would be shortchanging myself to not use a horse like Arklow on a ticket as a B, maybe even a C. That's going to be 12, 15, 20, 30 to 1. Like, why would I deprive myself of that chance just because you don't like Arklow? Like,
precisely because
I don't build my tickets with your emotions in mind. With that being said, put Halliday on your tickets with my emotions in mind.
Apparently, yeah. Brad Cox thinks Arklow has been training really well,
and he's the hot Cox right now.
I mean, truthfully, with the way Cox horses are running, like Arklow might. I can't say how win this race, but he probably might run the best of the Americans. I mean, he looked like a new horse with the blinkers on last time.
Caleb, what did you have here?
I kind of covered it already. I'm going to be using Magical and Tarnawa both. I would say maybe 60-40, a little heavier to Magical, but using both very prominently. I'll probably use Lord North, maybe on a small, like a B, so to speak. And then if I play anything like vertically or whatnot, I kind of like Donja to hit the board at a big price. Don't think the horse can win, but if you're playing a trifecta or something, that's a horse I'd maybe throw in third.
Yeah, I think I'm eating chalk here, and I'm gonna have Magical as my lone A, and then I'm gonna use Tarnawa and Mogul, and maybe a little Lord North, but I don't want any of the American horses in this race. Mark, you already got your stuff in.
I got my stuff in. I have no real. I don't know how I'm playing this race. I think this race is. There's so many conundrums in here that make this just. This is a brutal race. But I think I pretty much agree with Caleb here with how he's approaching it. Most of Magical, a little bit of Tarnawa, and then or a little less of Tarnawa, and then the other two, Lord North and Mogul, probably the least of the four.
All right. Let's move on to the big race, the classic, 1.25 miles around the main track, and we have our morning line favorite going to be Tom's d'Etat at 2-1, apparently, according to the double payouts that we've seen.
I'm so torn off about that. I'm so upset.
Yeah. Tom's d'Etat looks like he's the favorite in the double. Sorry, guys.
Finally, the betting public has caught on to the fact that Improbable is bullshit.
I can remember sitting on Caleb's couch. Sitting on Chase's.
My name is Chase.
Yeah, but the alcohol. Sorry, sitting on Chase's couch and leaving a divot, which I got yelled at for, and watching the Oaklawn Mile and going, "That's the best older horse in training right now." And what the hell are they going to do with him come Breeders' Cup time? You can try to shirt him up, put him in the mile, or are you going to try to see if you can get 1.25 miles out of him? And I think they're taking the smart choice. I love Tom's d'Etat. I as long as he doesn't stumble coming out of the gate, he's the best older horse in the country. And I think he sets a perfect trip here. And yeah, sorry that I killed Josh's setup, but I love me some Tams d'Etat.
Yeah, I'm probably the only person here that still has any faith in maximum security.
You are such a Baffert fan.
Oh man, it's disgusting, isn't it? It's disgusting, isn't it?
You took Princess Fraud, Maximum falsehood.
You're that guy in the group of friends is like, hey man, like, listen, I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing, but Depeche Mode is a really great band.
Oh. Anyways,
Josh, you'd have to go to the ATM a lot less if you'd stop loving the crap Baffert horses.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I think I really like Tams d'Etat in this race. I like Improbable.
Oh, no. Someone has to hate Tams d'Etat.
Oh, that's not me. I have 3 A's
really,
in this race.
Like Max Security. You should be that guy.
Max Security is my favorite horse in this race, but I'm going to be using Tams d'Etat, Improbable, and Maximum Security equally. I have only 1 B in this race. And it's not Tacitus for sure. It's definitely not Tis the Law. It's not Title Ready. It's not Higher Power. Global Campaign sucks. And so is Authentic. It's going to be the 3 by my standards. I'm going to go back to this by my standards based off of what might happen. We might if we get a fast enough pace in this race. Yes, it's going to set up perfectly for Tams d'Etat. But if for some reason Tams d'Etat does not fire his best race, I think the next best closer I want in this race is going to be the 3 by my standards. It's going to be my lone B in this race. But pretty much everything else I think I'm going to key around Tams d'Etat, Improbable, and Max Security.
So, I mean, literally since March, like Mark and I, since he and I locked eyes and bit into a chicken wing at the exact same time, at the same table, have said and stick by the fact that Tams d'Etat is your Breeders' Cup Classic winner this year. Like that's your horse. I'm not going to go back on it. I actually like the Trouble Trip that he got last time because it shows me that he's got a little bit more versatility, so that if Max, Improbable, Authentic go out and throw down on the front end, that he could maybe get there from pretty far back and doesn't have to be nearly as forwardly placed. I was kind of hoping that stumble out of the gate at Saratoga would give me like 8-1, but it apparently is not. We were far too loose-lipped with our love of Tams d'Etat. Because we're influencers and so many people listen to what we do. The horse that I think that people are tossing and is really going to be live it is going to be Tis the Law. And I kind of mentioned this last race is that Tis the Law finally got that layoff. I think he's going to pop off that. And I might be firing a Tams d'Etat over Tis the Law, Exacta, Ice Cold. And then I'm definitely going to be using that with a trifecta kind of structure with Tams d'Etat on top. Maybe put Tis the Law in second with another horse like I'm going to throw Joshua Bone by my standards in second, and then throw the Bafferts. Actually, throw the Bafferts completely out and put another just horse that's really not good but probably better than the Bafferts because they all suck dick. In third. That's kind of my thoughts on it. It's going to be Tams d'Etat, but don't be surprised if Tis the Law puts up a huge effort.
Yeah, I guess I'll be the third one to be pretty high on Tams d'Etat. Like I've been watching this like horse on the overseas, offshore book and for futures betting for a few months, and he's been 10-1, 10-1, 10-1, and I'm like just holding steady, and I'm like, oh my god, if I get 10-1 on Tams d'Etat. And then he dropped to like plus 750, and I'm like, all right, well, that's still okay. And the morning lines came out, and he's 6-1, and I'm like, well, I mean, I said half a 10-1 would still be fine. I'll take 5-1. And the next thing I know, like you could see the Derby, the Juvenile Classic 2-day double probables come out, and Tams d'Etat was the favorite. And I don't know that he'll actually go off the favorite, but I'll be so torn up if he does because that sucks. That being said. He probably wins.
You so underestimated how big I am in Belgium to bring that.
I really underestimated Chase's just sweeping influence. But yeah, I do think that Tams d'Etat is the probably co-likeliest, if not likeliest winner here. I do have to respect Improbable as much as I hate Baffert. The horse has been a freak at 4 years old and pretty much doesn't even look like the same animal. Now, Baffert horses have not been firing today. Historically, Baffert does horrible when he shifts to Kentucky for Breeders' Cup races. So maybe kind of watch and see even if Gamine doesn't win, kind of see how she runs. But I will have a hard time just outright dismissing Improbable based on his last couple of races. That being said, I do think Tom Zeta probably is the horse I want the most of here, especially if you get anything near that 6-1. That stumble, he stumbled against the slow pace. He actually made up quite a bit of ground, and I really like Tom Zeta here. And that being said, I'm against all the 3-year-olds. Yeah, Tiz the Law is going to get overbet. He has a rabid fan club, and it depends on the set of figs that you use, because I know Timeform thinks Tiz the Law is like the greatest 3-year-old since Secretariat. But on Thoroughgraphs, Tiz the Law actually has not moved forward at all since his Gulfstream Holy Bull race. And if you look at the horses he's really beaten, who's really the best horse that Tiz the Law has beaten in his 3-year-old campaign? Max Player, Dr. Post, Mr. Short Dick. I doubt it. So, like,
who the fuck is Dr. Post?
Yeah, he can't fault him. He can only beat who he's up against. But I just think he's going to be too short, and he's just not ready for this level of competition. So I'm going to be the most with Tom Zeta. I'll have some Improbable, and then a horse that I really think could hit the board at a monstrous price is going to be Higher Power. And I know that's kind of hilarious because Higher Power sucks and West Coast horses suck. But this is a horse that has a pretty well-established pattern of running a big race and then just going way off of form for about 2 or 3 races before cycling up to a big race again. He ran a nice race in his Pacific Classic last year. He kind of went off form, circled back up to a decent Breeders' Cup race. He got 3rd after all. Went way off form again, and then I think he's kind of circling up to a decent race here. I think that he's, again, not a horse that I want on top, but I think a horse that might go off as, quite honestly, the longest shot on the board. And I think that he really could get a piece of this, especially if the pace materializes, because it does seem like we have Authentic, Maximum Security, potentially Tacitus, potentially like about 3 other horses that want to sit 3rd. Global Campaign going to be on the front. It does seem like there should be an honest pace in this race. So I do want somebody coming from out of it. And I think he could be the one that sneaks into the Tri or Super at a huge price.
I feel like we should refer to him as G1 winner, Higher Power as well. Because, it's not quite combatant level, but it's close.
He is.
So I picked Higher Power at Oaklawn for a race, and then he ran back on Derby Day that year as a 3-year-old. And I was talking up to my friend about how much I loved Higher Power, and I think Higher Power is going to do something in this race. And I bet him a back tattoo. I was like, fuck you. If Higher Power wins, you're getting a fucking back tattoo, like full length of Higher Power. He didn't do shit. But then he shows up in the Pacific Classic and it wins. And who did I text first and be like, Higher Power, motherfucker. G1 winner, BC entry, Higher Power. I love Higher Power for that reason, but the horse sucks. The horse is terrible.
Isn't Tacitus your longest price on the board, or do you think Higher Power will be longer?
Title ready.
People. Title ready will be the longest shot on the board. You're right.
Yeah, people love Tacitus. Yeah,
Tacitus has board hitter written all over him. If you think I'm going to throw Tacitus out of a trifecta, you are out of your mind.
No, he does. He loves to clunk up and finish 2nd or 3rd.
Otherwise known as hates winning.
He is very camera shy, and he invents new ways every time he runs of being more and more camera shy.
Yeah, is there anything else that you guys want to say to this?
I'm against Maximum Security here, as I think most of us are. But I will say, I try not to get too caught up in the fanfare of workouts. But I was very against Max Security before his San Diego because his workouts looked terrible. I was still against him in the Pacific, very good. I was against him in Awesome Again because his workouts were better but not very good. But his workout on October 25th actually looked really good. It's a typical Baffert, fast work, huge gallop, quick, strong. I'm not going to say he turned it around because all of a sudden he has a nice workout. But I do think that if you were kind of on the fence and you can get 5-1 on him or something, like, there is, I guess, some reason to be optimistic that he might be coming up to a better race.
So he's 4-1 or 9-2 overseas right now. I would absolutely take that.
Is he that on name recognition though?
I mean, he's third choice. But guess who second choice is?
Tom.
Tis the law. 7-2.
Improbable's first.
Yep, Improbable's like 5-2, 11-4.
What can you get overseas on Tom Tatar right now?
9-2.
Can you bet that? Can you turn some of your BCBC bets across the pond? On Tom
what's the
Tatar?
ratio? What's the conversion rate between BCBC and pounds?
And then can you convert that to Baconators?
Yeah, always.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really talk about Authentic. I think that's probably the horse that we're all against here, right?
I mean, Swiss Skydiver, proved that point that he's just not that good. And I sort of am tainted with no, Authentic's a she.
You said Swiss Skydiver.
I said Swiss Skydiver proved the point that he is not that good.
Damn it! I was just so excited to make the gender correction.
Yeah, you have to catch me when I'm sleeping again. No, I think we're just all against him in that, he hung horrible against Swiss Skydiver. And, she's obviously extremely talented. But I don't know if I want to kind of scratch my head and say that the entire 3-year-old crop is suspect, but after watching the last race, I just, ugh.
All right, let's that's gonna do for the BC races. Was there anything on the? I mean, I know Nashville's running that first race, that undercard race. Is there anything else in the undercard that you guys looked at that interest you?
Haven't actually looked at it beyond the Nashville race.
The Nashville race is probably one of the most likely singles on the card. The second and third, the second is definitely a spready feeling race, and the third is a little bit wide open. Early pick 5 should be kind of interesting. I'm not sure how I'm structured yet. We'll see what scratches bring. So
cool. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. I think oh God, that actually took us 2.5 hours. I thought that seemed a lot quicker. It was fun. Yeah. What we got going on tomorrow? Mark, you guys are putting together that group ticket, so make sure you guys got your money in before Mark puts that ticket in.
Carried today.
What happened?
Pick 6 carried today. It didn't.
Yep, it did carry today.
Yeah, guaranteed $1 million tomorrow on the pool for the late. There was 250,000 that carried. So effectively, it's a takeout, it reduces effective takeout because you get a carry. And we have a pretty massive ticket going. We're just about capped out, though. I don't know how much more money we're going to take on it. So
okay. Chase, you're going to get a sheet out for tomorrow?
Yeah, I will do a BC sheet. The JPW boys, the JustPickWinners.net boys, are going to try to put out like a consensus sheet for all those races. We're going to be out there, and I'll do a full sheet for Discord and for me.
Caleb, you're going to do better in the BC tomorrow?
I can't do a whole lot worse.
And it was a volatile day, and it was minimum. So
yeah. Somebody actually ended up with a negative balance after today, though. So at least I have them beat.
a negative balance?
Negative 1,300. I don't know how they did it, but yeah. They just.
Two races in, somebody went bankrupt. So I mean,
Oh yeah. I mean, I got all of my optional money, and I still have my 7 mandatories for 600 each. So it only takes one. I mean, when you're playing with that kind of money, it only takes one time to be right. But
I still assert that B Marks like should have like taken just like a selfie in front of the scoreboard whenever he was like in first place, just because you don't know if you're going to be there at the end, and I mean you're on top of the BCBC, might as well memorialize that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I should be around most of the day tomorrow, so I'll be in Discord. I'll be playing that another $12 tournament because I don't know. I hate myself, I guess. But Mark, you played the 2 day or did you play just the 1 day?
I played the 2 day. I did not connect on any of the prices, so I'm about, I don't know, $80 back on that one. So try to chase
bombs away. But all right, guys. Well, yep. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am Josh. We got Caleb in the top left, Chase in the bottom left, Mark bottom right. We got our Twitter handles there. Hit us up at our Twitter handle on Discord, at wrong_lead on Twitter, on thewronglead.com. And yeah, we will catch you guys later.